Fate has a strange way of finding us." Those were the final words Elena's grandmother whispered before placing an old silver pendant into her trembling hands. Elena never understood what they meant until the night her car tore through a mountain guardrail in a storm of shrieking metal and exploding glass. Only then did she discover that fate was not mysterious. It was merciless, intentional, and it had been pursuing her since the moment she was born. The wolves reached her first. 3 enormous creatures emerged from the darkness, far too large to be ordinary animals. Their eyes burned like embers as they approached the wreckage. Yet when they pulled Elena's broken body from the twisted car, they handled her with impossible care, their warm fur pressing against her freezing skin. She should have been terrified. She should have screamed. Instead, she felt as though she knew them. A silver-furred wolf with molten gold eyes remained closest. His breath brushed hot against her neck while her consciousness faded. Somewhere between life and death, a deep voice resonated through her bones. "Found you." 3 days later, Elena opened her eyes inside an unfamiliar cabin. Strangers surrounded her, staring as though she were both salvation and a curse. That was when she understood. The crash had not been an accident. The wolves were not animals. And the life she believed was hers had been built upon lies. Her true story, written in blood and ancient magic, was only beginning. Chapter 1. The Girl Who Never Belonged. Elena Rivera had spent her entire life feeling out of place. It was not the dramatic kind of difference found in fairy tales, where an ugly duckling becomes a swan. Elena's isolation was quieter and far more unsettling. She noticed it whenever her adoptive mother, Patricia, flinched because Elena entered a room too suddenly. She saw it in the way her adoptive sister, Vanessa, always kept a small distance between them, as though standing too close might be dangerous. "You're imagining things," Elena often told herself. She stood before the bathroom mirror in their Seattle apartment, studying the features that had always seemed unusual. Her brown eyes were scattered with golden flecks that reflected light strangely. Her dark hair grew faster and thicker than anyone else's. Her pale skin refused to tan, no matter how long she stayed beneath the sun. "They love you," she reminded herself. "They chose you." But love was not supposed to feel like tolerance. "Elena!" Patricia's sharp voice sliced through the rooms. "Vanessa needs you to drive her to the audition. You aren't doing anything important, are you?" Elena looked toward her laptop. On the screen sat the unfinished application for the wildlife biology program she had dreamed of joining for years. The deadline was only 3 hours away. For weeks, she had poured everything into the essay, writing about her connection to the wilderness and her longing to find a home somewhere between civilization and the untamed natural world. "No," Elena called back as she closed the laptop. "Nothing important." It was always like this. 23 years of the same pattern. Vanessa was already waiting near the door, looking flawless as usual. Her blonde hair fell in effortless waves. Her makeup appeared almost invisible, and she wore designer clothes Patricia always managed to afford. She barely acknowledged Elena before sliding into the passenger seat of Elena's battered Honda. "Can you hurry?" Vanessa asked without lifting her eyes from her phone. "This audition could change my life. Not that you'd understand what that feels like." Elena tightened her grip on the steering wheel. "What is that supposed to mean?" "Nothing," Vanessa replied sweetly. "Only that some of us have real ambitions, real dreams, not strange obsessions with wolves, forests, and whatever else you're interested in." She wrinkled her nose. "It's creepy, Elena. Mom thinks so too." Elena had heard similar insults all her life, so the words should not have affected her. Yet that day, they sank deeper than usual. "I'm studying wildlife biology," Elena said quietly. "It isn't creepy. It's science." "You cover your room with pictures of wolves," Vanessa shot back. You vanish into the woods for hours. You have no friends, and you barely speak to anyone. At last, she looked up from her phone. Her blue eyes were cold. Just admit it, Elena. You aren't normal. You never have been. Elena kept her eyes fixed on the road. They had entered the mountains and were heading toward the prestigious theater where Vanessa's audition would take place. Dark clouds gathered above them, and the forecast had warned that a storm was coming. Elena had suggested taking the highway. It was safer, brighter, and less dangerous in bad weather. Vanessa, however, demanded the mountain road because it was faster. And Vanessa always got what she wanted. I got accepted, Elena said suddenly. The words escaped before she could stop them. To the wildlife program. Full scholarship. They want me to start next month. Vanessa's head snapped toward her. What? When did you find out? Last week. And you didn't tell us? Vanessa's voice pitched higher. Does Mom know? Not yet. I was going to tell her tonight, after your audition. She's going to be so hurt, Vanessa interrupted. That you kept this from her. That you're planning to just leave, after everything she's done for you. Her tone turned venomous. But that's so typical. Take, and never give anything back. Elena's vision blurred. Not from tears she'd learned long ago not to cry in front of Vanessa, but from something else. A strange pressure building behind her eyes, like the air before lightning strikes. I'm not taking anything, Elena whispered. I'm just trying to have a life. Your life is with us, Vanessa snapped. Mom saved you. You were nothing when she found you some abandoned baby left in the woods like garbage. She gave you everything, and this is how you repay her? The pressure intensified. Elena's hands began to shake. Vanessa, stop. No, you stop. Stop being so selfish. Stop pretending you're better than us with your science and your nature. You're not special, Elena. You're just... The deer came out of nowhere. Elena swerved, instinct taking over. The Honda's tires screamed against wet asphalt. Vanessa's scream joined them. Everything became a blur of motion and sound. The guardrail rushing toward them, the sickening crunch of metal, the sensation of weightlessness as the car broke through and plummeted. They were falling. Elena's last coherent thought wasn't about the scholarship, or Patricia's inevitable disappointment, or even her own death. It was about the pendant around her neck. Her grandmother's pendant, the one she'd been wearing since she was found as a baby, suddenly burning hot against her skin. And then, impact. Pain exploded through Elena's body. Glass shattered, metal twisted. Vanessa's screaming cut off abruptly, replaced by a terrible silence. Elena couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Blood filled her mouth, copper and wrong. Through the shattered windshield, she saw dark sky, darker trees, and something else. Eyes. Golden eyes, watching from the tree line. Then more eyes. Silver, amber, all glowing in the darkness like stars. The wolves came slowly, emerging from the forest with an otherworldly grace. 3 of them, each massive, far larger than any wolf should be. They moved like liquid shadow, like predators who knew they were apex. Elena should have been afraid. Every human instinct should have been screaming. But as consciousness faded, as blood pooled beneath her broken body, all Elena felt was a strange, bone-deep certainty. They've been waiting for me. The silver wolf reached her first. His fur gleamed like moonlight, and his eyes, those impossible golden eyes, held something that looked almost like recognition, almost like grief. He pressed his massive head against her chest, and Elena felt warmth spread through her shattered ribs. Healing warmth, impossible warmth. Not yet, a voice whispered in her mind, deep, male, ancient. You don't get to leave us yet. Who? Elena tried to speak, but blood choked the words. The wolf's eyes met hers, and the world tilted. Sleep, little wolf. When you wake, everything changes. Darkness took her, but not before she saw the silver wolf shift his form, rippling, reshaping, becoming something between man and beast. Not before she saw him lift her in arms that were suddenly human, cradling her like she was precious. Not before she heard him say words that would haunt her. I've been searching for you for 10 years. I'm not losing you now. Chapter 2. Awakening to Lies. Elena woke to the smell of pine and wood smoke. Not the antiseptic sting of a hospital. Not the familiar lavender detergent Patricia used on the apartment linens. This was wild, ancient, the scent of forests that had never known civilization. Her eyes fluttered open to exposed wooden beams, a stone fireplace crackling with amber flames, and windows that showed nothing but endless trees. Pain should have consumed her. The crash had been catastrophic. She remembered the impact, the way her ribs had cracked like kindling, the taste of blood drowning her lungs. But she felt fine, better than fine. Elena sat up slowly, expecting agony that never came. She was in a massive bed, covered in furs that were too soft, too warm. Someone had dressed her in clothes that weren't hers, an oversized flannel shirt and soft cotton pants. Her own clothes were nowhere to be seen, neither was her pendant. Panic flared. Elena's hand flew to her bare neck, fingers searching desperately for the silver chain that had been there since infancy. Gone. The one thing that connected her to her origins, to the grandmother she'd never known. Looking for this? Elena's head snapped toward the voice. A man stood in the doorway, tall, broad-shouldered, with silver blonde hair that caught the firelight and eyes the color of molten gold. He was probably 30, maybe older age, sat strangely on him, like he existed outside normal time. He wore dark jeans and a Henley that did nothing to hide the predatory grace in every movement. In his hand, dangling from those long fingers, was her pendant. "Who are you?" Elena's voice came out stronger than she felt. "Where am I? Where's Vanessa, my sister?" She was in the car. "Your sister is fine," the man said, his voice that same deep rumble she'd heard in her dying moments. "Barely a scratch on her. She's back in Seattle, spinning stories about how she miraculously survived while you—" He paused, golden eyes studying her with unsettling intensity. "While you disappeared. What are you talking about?" "I need to call my family." "The family that's been lying to you for 23 years? The man stepped into the room, and Elena's body reacted instinctively, muscles tensing, breath quickening, every nerve suddenly alert. He noticed. His lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Good. Your instincts are waking up. I don't understand. You will." He tossed the pendant onto the bed. Elena grabbed it immediately, clutching it like a lifeline. "My name is Cade Blackthorn, and you, Elena Rivera, are not human." The words hung in the air like smoke. Elena laughed. It was a brittle, broken sound. "That's insane. I'm human. You're a wolf shifter," Cade interrupted, his tone matter of fact. "From one of the oldest bloodlines in North America. Your real name is Elena Nightshade, daughter of Leanna Nightshade, last heir of the Silver Moon Pack." He moved closer, and Elena pressed back against the headboard. "And you're my fated mate." "Stop." Elena's hands were shaking. This can't be. "The crash should have killed you," Cade continued, relentless. "Your spine was broken in 3 places. Your skull was fractured. You had internal bleeding that would have killed a human in minutes." He crouched beside the bed, bringing those impossible eyes level with hers. "But you healed, Elena, completely. In 3 days." Elena looked down at her hands. Smooth, unmarked skin. No bruises, no cuts. She remembered glass tearing through her flesh, remembered the white-hot agony of bones snapping. "The wolves," she whispered. "I saw wolves, 3 of them. My pack," Cade confirmed. "Liam and Ash, my brothers. We've been tracking you for months, ever since your scent signatures started appearing on our territory borders. We thought you were a rogue at first, a shifter trying to hide. But when we finally found you," his expression darkened, "you had no idea what you were. Someone had suppressed your nature so thoroughly, you couldn't even recognize your own kind." "This is crazy," Elena said, but her voice wavered. Because deep down, in a place she'd spent her whole life trying to ignore, something was clicking into place. All those times she'd felt different, the way animals always gravitated toward her. How she could see perfectly in darkness. How she could smell storms before they arrived. How she'd never been sick a day in her life. "Patricia Rivera isn't your mother," Cade said quietly. She's a witch. A fairly powerful one, actually. 23 years ago, she found you in the woods. A baby girl, maybe 6 months old, wearing nothing but a silver pendant and covered in blood that wasn't yours. She should have reported you to the Shifter Council. Instead, she took you home and cast a binding spell so strong, it crippled your wolf before she even woke. Elena's breath came in short gasps. No, my mother wouldn't. Your mother is dead, Cade said, and there was genuine sorrow in his voice now. Liana Nightshade died the night Patricia found you. She was running from something, or someone. We never found out what. All we know is that she managed to hide you, to keep you safe long enough for someone to find you. She just didn't expect that someone would be a witch with no loyalty to pack law. The room was spinning. Elena gripped the pendant so hard the edges cut into her palm. Why? Why would she do that? Power, said a new voice. Elena jerked her gaze to the doorway, where 2 more men had appeared. They looked like Cade, same predatory grace, same otherworldly presence, but different. One had dark hair and silver eyes that glittered with barely contained rage. The other was lighter, almost golden, with amber eyes that held something gentler. That's Ash, Cade said, nodding to the dark-haired one. And Liam, my brothers, my pack. Shifter children are rare, Ash continued, his voice cold as winter. Especially from powerful bloodlines. Patricia knew that if she raised you human, kept your wolf suppressed, she could use you as a... He paused, disgust flickering across his face. As a battery. Your latent magic. Your pack bonds, all that power trapped inside you with nowhere to go. She's been siphoning it for over 2 decades. Elena thought of all the times Patricia had touched her. Quick, fleeting touches that always left Elena feeling drained. Exhausted. Headaches that came from nowhere, and vanished just as quickly. Vanessa isn't adopted, Liam added, his tone softer than Ash's but no less serious. She's Patricia's biological daughter. Everything you had, your magic, your strength, your future, Patricia, has been feeding to Vanessa since you were children. Why do you think Vanessa's always been perfect, always talented, always lucky? She's been stealing your life, Cade finished. And you've been letting her. Because you didn't know you had a choice. Elena couldn't breathe. The walls were closing in. This couldn't be real. Couldn't be. But it was. Somewhere deep inside, past all the denial and fear, her soul knew the truth, had always known. I want to see her, Elena said suddenly. Patricia, I want to hear her say it. Bad idea, Ash growled. I don't care. Elena stood, and was surprised by how steady her legs felt. How strong. If what you're saying is true, if she's done what you claim, then she owes me the truth. To my face. Cade studied her for a long moment. Then, slowly, he nodded. All right. But Elena? He caught her wrist as she moved toward the door, his grip gentle but unbreakable. When she confirms everything, and she will, you can't go back. Once the binding breaks fully, once your wolf wakes completely, your human life is over. Do you understand? Elena met those golden eyes, and felt something shift in her chest. A recognition that went deeper than memory, older than conscious thought. I don't have a human life, she said quietly. I never did. Subscribe if you believe Elena deserves to know the truth about who she really is. Because people like Elena need an audience that won't abandon them when their whole world shatters. Drop a comment if Elena's pain is your pain too. Cade's expression softened. Just slightly. Just enough. Then let's go get your answers. Chapter 3. The Mother Who Stole Everything. The drive back to Seattle was silent. Elena sat in the passenger seat of Cade's black truck, watching familiar highways blur past with new eyes. Everything looked different now, sharper, the colors too vivid, the sounds too clear. She could hear conversations from passing cars, smell the fierce sweat of a woman 3 lanes over, see the individual needles on pine trees half a mile away. It's disorienting at first, Cade said, not taking his eyes off the road. Your sense is adjusting. The binding is cracking. Every hour you spend away from Patricia, every hour your body heals without her magic interfering. Your wolf gets stronger. How long until? Elena trailed off. not sure how to finish the question. Until you shift? Cade's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Hard to say. You were bound so young, so completely. It could be days. Could be weeks. But it's coming, Elena. And when it does, you need to be somewhere safe, with people who can guide you through it. People like you. People like us, he corrected. Your pack. Elena turned to look at him fully. In profile, Cade was devastating, all sharp angles and raw masculinity. But it was more than physical. There was something about his presence that made her body hum, like a tuning fork resonating at a frequency only they could hear. This mate thing, Elena said carefully. Explain it to me. Cade was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was rougher. Shifters mate for life. It's not a choice, it's recognition. Your soul knows its match, and once you find them. He glanced at her briefly. Everything else becomes background noise. You'd do anything for them, protect them, die for them. It's not rational. It's not convenient. It just is. And you think I'm your mate? I don't think. I know. His jaw clenched. I felt it the moment I caught your scent. Months ago. Like lightning in my veins. Every instinct I have screams that you're mine. But Elena. He exhaled slowly. The bond only completes if both wolves recognize it. Right now, your wolf is still sleeping. You can't feel what I feel. You might never feel it, if the binding damaged you too badly. There was pain in his voice. Raw and real. Is that why you saved me? Elena asked. Because of some magical bond? I saved you because leaving you to die would have killed me too, Cade said bluntly. But I'm not keeping you because of the bond. You're free to leave any time, Elena. Free to reject the mate connection, reject the pack, reject all of this, and try to build a human life somewhere else. His golden eyes found hers. I won't stop you, even if it destroys me. Elena's chest tightened. She looked away, back to the highway. I don't know what I want. Then figure it out. But do it with all the information. That's why we're doing this. They pulled off the highway 20 minutes later, entering Elena's neighborhood. Everything looked so normal. Families walking dogs, kids playing basketball, the coffee shop where Elena used to study, desperately trying to feel like she belonged. She'd never belonged here. Had she? Cade parked 2 blocks from Patricia's apartment. Ash and Liam pulled up behind them in a second vehicle, their expressions grim. We'll wait outside, Ash said, his silver eyes dangerous. If anything goes wrong. Nothing will go wrong, Elena interrupted. She's not going to hurt me. She's had 23 years to hurt me. Why start now? Because now you know, Liam said quietly. And cornered witches are unpredictable. Elena climbed out of the truck before she could lose her nerve. The apartment building loomed ahead, suddenly unfamiliar. How many times had she walked through those doors? How many times had she felt grateful that Patricia chose her? Chosen. What a sick joke. Cade fell into step beside her. I'm coming with you. She won't talk if you're there. I don't care. His tone left no room for argument. I'm not letting you face her alone. Elena should have protested, should have insisted on her independence. But truthfully, she was terrified. And having Cade's solid presence beside her, his strength radiating like heat, it helped. They took the stairs to the 3rd floor. Elena's hands shook as she pulled out her keys, then paused. Did she still have the right to just walk in? Was this even her home anymore? She knocked instead. Footsteps. Then the door swung open, and there was Patricia. She looked the same as always. Neat brown hair, simple blouse, reading glasses perched on her nose. The picture of suburban normalcy. But when her eyes landed on Elena, something flickered across her face. Fear. Elena. Patricia's voice was controlled, but her hand gripped the doorframe too tightly. You're alive. We thought the police said there was so much blood. Can we come in? Elena asked. Patricia's gaze shifted to Cade, and her face went pale. Who is this? Someone who knows what you did, Cade said softly. Dangerously. Patricia stepped back, and they entered the apartment. It looked exactly as Elena remembered. Same furniture, Same photos on the walls, mostly of Vanessa. Elena noticed now. Only a handful included Elena, and in those, she was always slightly out of focus, slightly to the side, never the center, never the priority. Vanessa was on the couch, scrolling through her phone. She looked up, and her eyes widened. Elena, oh my God, you're okay. She jumped up, but didn't approach, didn't hug her. The doctor said you must have been thrown from the car. They searched for hours but couldn't find you. Where have you been? With people who actually care about her, Cade said coldly. Vanessa's gaze snapped to him, and Elena saw something flash across her face. Recognition. You're one of them. The wolves. You knew, Elena whispered. Vanessa, you knew what I was? Vanessa had the decency to look uncomfortable. Mom told me. When I turned 16, she said it was important that I understood, so I could help keep you safe. Safe? Cade's laugh was harsh. Is that what you call it? Everyone sit down, Patricia said, her voice sharp with authority. Magic crackled in the air. Elena could feel it now, like static electricity raising the hairs on her arms. Elena, whatever these people have told you, I want to hear it from you. Elena interrupted. She stayed standing, and was surprised by how calm her voice sounded. No lies, no excuses. Tell me the truth about who I am. Patricia's expression hardened. For a moment, the mask of maternal warmth dropped completely, revealing something cold beneath. You want the truth? Fine. I found you in the woods 23 years ago, covered in your mother's blood. She was dead. You were crying. If I hadn't taken you in, you would have died too. You took her in because you wanted her power, Cade snarled. I took her in because she was a resource. Patricia snapped back. Do you know how rare shifter children are? Especially from bloodlines as pure as the nightshades. The magic in her veins could have changed everything for my family, and it did. She gestured to Vanessa. My daughter has talents beyond any witch her age. She's going to be something remarkable. Because you fed her my life, Elena said. The words came out hollow. Empty. You stole from me. Every day. For 23 years. I gave you a home, Patricia said. Food, clothes, education. You would have had nothing without me. I would have had myself. Elena's voice cracked. You took my wolf, my magic, my identity. You made me feel broken and wrong my entire life, because I was living on scraps of my own power, that you were funneling into Vanessa. You were better off human, Patricia said coldly. Shifters are animals, Elena. Brutal, dangerous creatures ruled by instinct. I saved you from that. I gave you civilization. You gave her slavery, Cade said. And you violated pack law. The council will hear about this. Patricia laughed. It was an ugly sound. The council won't do anything. I'm a registered witch. Elena was abandoned property. I had every right. I'm not property. Elena's shout echoed through the apartment. And with it came heat. Power. Something inside her chest cracking wide open. I'm not yours. I never was. The lights flickered. Vanessa gasped. Patricia's eyes widened. Elena, calm down. No. Elena's vision was blurring again, but not from tears. From something else. Something wild. I'm done being calm. Done being grateful. Done pretending this was love when it was just theft. Her skin was burning, bones shifting beneath flesh. Elena. Cade's voice cut through the haze. Steady. Grounding. Not here. Not like this. Your first shift needs to be somewhere safe. I don't care about safe. Elena gasped. But Cade was already moving, already pulling her toward the door. You're kidnapping her, Vanessa shrieked. I'm freeing her, Cade shot back. Something you should have done years ago. They were in the hallway now, moving fast. Elena's body felt wrong, too tight, like her skin didn't fit anymore. Cade swept her into his arms, cradling her against his chest as he ran down the stairs. Hold on, he murmured. Just hold on a little longer. Behind them, Elena heard Patricia's voice, sharp with magic. You can't have her. The binding still holds. But even as she spoke, Elena felt something inside her snap. The pendant around her neck blazed hot as a brand. And for the first time in 23 years, Elena's wolf opened her eyes. Chapter 4. The Wolf Inside. They made it to the forest just as Elena's body began to tear itself apart. Cade had driven like a man possessed, ignoring traffic laws and speed limits, while Elena writhed in the passenger seat. Every cell in her body was screaming, rewriting itself, remembering what it was supposed to be. Ash and Liam flanked them in the other vehicle, creating a protective convoy as they raced away from the city and into the mountains. Almost there, Cade kept saying. Just hold on, Elena. Almost there. But Elena was barely hearing him. The pain was beyond description, bones liquefying and reforming, muscles tearing and reknitting, skin burning like she'd been set on fire. She wanted to scream, but her jaw was locked, teeth elongating into something that wasn't human. When Cade finally stopped the truck and pulled her out, they were deep in old-growth forest. Moonlight filtered through ancient pines, and the air smelled of earth and wild things. He carried her to a small clearing and gently set her down on soft moss. "Let it happen," Cade said, kneeling beside her. His voice was calm, but his eyes betrayed his fear. "Don't fight it. Your wolf wants out, Elena. Let her come." "It hurts," Elena gasped. "God, it hurts." "I know. I'm sorry." Cade smoothed her hair back from her sweat-soaked face. "First shifts are always brutal, but it gets easier. I promise." Ash and Liam emerged from the tree line, already half-shifted. Their forms wavered between human and wolf, bones visible beneath translucent skin, eyes glowing in the darkness. They formed a triangle around Elena, protective and waiting. "We've got you," Liam said. "You're safe here. Whatever happens, we won't let anything hurt you." Elena wanted to thank them, but then another wave of agony hit, and she couldn't do anything but scream. Her spine arched, her fingers curved into claws. The world tilted sideways as her perspective shifted, as her body compressed and reformed into something older, something primal. She felt her consciousness splitting, human thoughts tangling with animal instinct, logic drowning in sensation. And then, suddenly, clarity. Elena opened her eyes, her wolf's eyes, and the world exploded into focus. Everything was sharper, brighter. She could see individual dewdrops on leaves 50 feet away, could hear a rabbit's heartbeat 3 clearings over, could smell the distinct scents of the 3 male wolves around her. Ash's scent like winter storms, Liam's like summer honey, and Cade's scent wrapped around her like home. Elena looked down at herself and saw silver fur, paws where her hands had been. She was smaller than she'd expected, more compact than the males, but strong. She could feel power thrumming through every muscle, magic singing in her bones. "Hello," a voice whispered in her mind. Her own voice, but different, wilder. "I've been waiting so long to meet you." Elena's wolf, the part of her that Patricia had locked away. She tried to speak, but what came out was a soft whine. Cade shifted then, his human form melting into the massive silver wolf Elena remembered from the crash. He padded closer, his golden eyes warm with something that made her chest tight. "Easy," his voice said in her mind. "Pack bonds, allowing communication between shifted wolves. Your first time speaking will be difficult. Just feel, just be." Elena took a tentative step, then another. Her legs felt strange but right, muscles coiling and releasing with predatory grace. She was built for this, had always been built for this. Ash and Liam completed their shifts, flanking her on either side. Ash was dark as shadow, his silver eyes luminous. Liam was golden brown, his amber eyes gentle. Together, the 4 of them, looked like something out of myth. "Run with us," Cade said. "Let your wolf remember what it feels like to be free." And Elena ran. She ran until her lungs burned and her muscles sang. She ran through moonlit clearings and dark groves, over streams and under low branches. The males kept pace with her easily. They were larger, stronger, more experienced, but they let her lead. Let her choose the path. For the first time in her life, Elena felt complete. Hours passed in a blur of sensation and joy. They hunted together nothing big, just rabbits and mice, teaching Elena how to track and pounce. They played, tumbling through clearings like pups, all sharp teeth and playful growls. And when Elena finally collapsed by a stream, panting and exhausted and more alive than she'd ever been. The three males curled around her in a protective circle. "Sleep," Cade murmured, his large body warm against her back. "We'll keep watch." Elena should have felt vulnerable, sleeping as a wolf in the wilderness with three males she barely knew. But her wolf trusted them implicitly, knew them at a level beyond words or logic. "Pack," her instincts whispered. "Safety. Home." She slept. When Elena woke, she was human again, and naked. She bolted upright with a yelp, immediately trying to cover herself. The males were already awake, already dressed. They must have stashed clothes in the forest. Cade was holding out a bundle to her, an oversized shirt and sweatpants. "First shift burns through clothes," he explained, politely keeping his eyes averted. "You'll learn to undress before shifting. For now, just here." Elena grabbed the clothes and quickly pulled them on, her cheeks burning. "How long was I out?" "Few hours," Liam said. He was building a small fire, movements practiced and efficient. "You did well, Elena. Really well. Most shifters can barely walk their first time. You ran for miles." "My wolf is strong," Elena said softly. "I can feel her even now, just beneath my skin. It's like I was only ever half alive before." "Because you were," Ash said bluntly. He was sharpening a knife, his expression dark. "That witch crippled you, stole 23 years of your life, and she's still out there, still walking free. The council will handle it," Cade said firmly. "Will they?" Ash challenged. "Patricia's right about one thing legally. She had claim to an abandoned shifter child. The council might slap her wrist, make her pay restitution, but she won't face real consequences. Not unless..." "Unless what?" Elena asked. The three males exchanged loaded glances. "Unless you challenge her formally," Liam said carefully. "Shifter law allows victims to demand recompense through combat or trial. If you win, Patricia loses everything: her magic, her status, possibly her life." Elena's stomach churned. "I can't kill her." "You could," Ash said, "and you should. She deserves it." "Ash," Cade's voice was sharp, "don't push her." "I'm not pushing. I'm being realistic." Ash stood, knife glinting in the firelight. That witch tortured Elena for 2 decades, fed off her like a parasite. And now Elena's supposed to just walk away? Let Patricia keep Vanessa, keep her power, keep living like she didn't destroy a child's life? "That's exactly what I'm saying," Elena said quietly. All three males turned to look at her. "I'm not going back. Not to fight Patricia, not to confront Vanessa, not to demand justice from some council that doesn't care about me. I'm done with that life." "Elena," Cade started. "I want to move forward," Elena interrupted. "Not backward. Patricia took enough from me. I won't give her another second of my time." She met Cade's golden eyes. "You said I'm part of a pack. The Silver Moon Pack. My mother's pack. Are there others? Is there still a home for me?" Cade's expression softened. "There was. But the Silver Moon Pack was decimated 10 years ago. An attack we never found out who ordered it. But dozens died. Your mother was one of the last. She went into hiding while pregnant with you, trying to keep you safe from whoever wanted your bloodline ended. So I'm alone," Elena whispered. "No." Cade moved closer, crouching in front of her. "You're not alone. My pack, the Blackthorn Pack, we've been searching for Silver Moon survivors for years, trying to piece together what happened, trying to protect what's left of your line. Elena, if you'll have us, we want you. Not because of bloodlines or politics or ancient obligations, but because you're pack. You're ours." "Ours?" her wolf whispered. And Elena felt the rightness of it deep in her bones. "What about the mate bond?" Elena asked. "You said it only completes if both wolves recognize it. I can feel something when I'm near you. But I don't know if it's the bond or just gratitude or..." "It doesn't matter," Cade said firmly. "Bond or no bond, you have a place with us. I won't pressure you, Elena. Won't demand anything you're not ready to give. You've spent your whole life being used. I won't be another person who takes from you." Elena studied his face. The sharp angles, the golden eyes, the barely leashed power. He could demand, could use the mate bond as leverage, but he wouldn't. She could see that truth written in every line of his expression. "Okay," she said. "I'll stay. With your pack. With you. If Elena's journey moved you, subscribe, so you never miss a story like this. Stories like these deserve an audience that cares. Comment. What would you do in Elena's position?" Cade's face broke into a smile, the first real smile Elena had seen from him. It transformed him, made him look younger, less burdened. "Yeah?" "Yeah." Elena smiled back, tentative but real. "I have a lot to learn. About being a wolf, about pack dynamics, about everything. But I want to learn. I want to know who I really am. Then we'll teach you," Liam said warmly. "And protect you," Ash added, his voice still gruff but his eyes softer. "Whatever's coming, whoever killed your pack, whoever your mother was running from, will face it together." "Something is coming," Elena said. It wasn't a question. She could feel it. A weight pressing against her newly awakened instincts. Patricia knew I was a nightshade. She knew my bloodline. What if she wasn't just using me for power? What if she was hiding me? The males went very still. "From what?" Cade asked slowly. Elena touched her pendant, the silver warm against her skin. "I don't know, but my mother gave me this before she died, and Patricia never tried to take it. She could have, should have, if she wanted all my magic. But she left the pendant alone, like she was afraid of it." Cade reached out, his fingers brushing the silver. The moment he touched it, his eyes widened. "This isn't just a pendant. It's a seal. Elena. There's magic locked inside this old magic, the kind that takes blood sacrifice to create." "What kind of magic?" "I don't know, but I know someone who might." Cade stood, pulling Elena up with him. "There's a seer 3 hours north. She owes my pack a favor. If anyone can read this seal, it's her." "And if it's dangerous?" Elena asked. Cade's expression hardened. "Then we'll deal with it, together." As they prepared to leave the clearing, Elena took one last look at the space where she'd first become herself. Where her wolf had finally been set free. Whatever came next, danger or destiny or something in between, she wouldn't face it alone. She had a pack now. She had Cade. And for the first time in 23 years, Elena had herself. Chapter 5. The Seer's Warning. The drive north took them deeper into mountains Elena had never seen. They'd left the clearing at dawn, piling into Cade's truck while Ash and Liam followed in their vehicle. Elena sat in the passenger seat, her pendant clutched in one hand, watching wilderness give way to even wilder terrain. Towns became villages, then disappeared entirely. The roads turned from paved to gravel to little more than dirt tracks cutting through ancient forest. "This seer," Elena said, breaking the comfortable silence. "What's she like?" Cade's jaw tightened. "Intense. She sees things past, future, possibilities. It's not always pleasant, and she doesn't lie, which sounds like a virtue until you realize how brutal honesty can be." "How does she owe you a favor?" 5 years ago, a rogue pack tried to claim her territory. She's powerful, but seers aren't fighters. My pack intervened, drove the rogues out. She said she'd answer one question for us, whenever we needed it." He glanced at Elena. "This is that question." The weight of that settled over Elena. One question. One chance. And Cade was using it for her. "Why?" she asked softly. "You barely know me. I know enough." His voice was rough. "I know you've been hurt. I know you deserve answers, and I know that whatever's locked in that pendant might be the key to understanding why your pack was destroyed." He paused. "My father died in the attack on Silver Moon. He was there trying to broker peace between our packs. So this isn't just about you, Elena. This is about all of us." Elena's breath caught. "I'm sorry, I didn't know. How could you? You were a baby." Cade's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "But that's why we've been searching so hard for survivors. Why finding you meant everything. Your mother's death, my father's death, they're connected. And whoever orchestrated it is still out there." They drove in silence after that, the weight of shared loss sitting between them. An hour later, they pulled off the dirt road entirely, following a path only visible to shifter senses. The trees here were older than old, their trunks wider than the truck, their branches forming a canopy so thick that only fragments of sky showed through. "We walk from here," Cade said, parking in a small clearing. Ash and Liam joined them, both looking tense. "Are you sure about this?" Ash asked. "Seers don't give answers, they give riddles wrapped in nightmares." "We don't have a choice," Cade said. They walked for 20 minutes, following a trail marked by stones that seemed to glow faintly. Elena's wolf stirred beneath her skin, uneasy. This place felt wrong somehow, not evil, but separate. Like reality was thinner here, stretched too tight over something vast. Then the trees opened into a glade, and Elena stopped breathing. The cabin in the clearing looked like it had grown from the earth itself. Moss covered the roof, vines crawled up the walls, and the windows glowed with soft silver light. But it was the woman standing in the doorway that made Elena's heart pound. She was ancient and ageless at once. Her skin was dark as rich soil, lined with age but somehow luminous. Her hair was white, braided with feathers and bones, and her eyes were completely white. No pupils, no iris, just milky emptiness that somehow saw everything. "Cade Blackthorn," the seer said, her voice like wind through dead leaves. "You've come for your answer, but you've brought me something far more interesting." Those blind eyes turned to Elena. "Hello, little nightshade. I've been watching you in my dreams for 23 years. Elena's throat went dry. "You know me? I know what you carry." The seer beckoned. "Come. We don't have much time. They're already looking for you." "Who?" Cade demanded, moving protectively in front of Elena. "Everyone." The seer smiled. "And it was a terrible thing. The wolves who want her dead, the witches who want her power, the old gods who want what she stole." She turned, her movements fluid despite her apparent age. "Come inside, all of you. This isn't a conversation for open air." The cabin's interior was larger than it should have been, defying physics in the way only magic could. Shelves lined the walls, crammed with jars of things Elena didn't want to identify. Herbs hung from the ceiling. Symbols were carved into every surface, glowing faintly. The seer gestured to a table in the center of the room. "Sit. Show me the pendant." Elena sat, the others flanking her. With trembling fingers, she lifted the silver chain over her head and placed the pendant on the table. The moment it left her skin, the temperature dropped 20 degrees. The seer leaned close, her blind eyes somehow focusing on the pendant. She didn't touch it. Didn't need to. The air around the silver began to shimmer, revealing layers of magic Elena had never sensed before. "Blood seal," the seer murmured. "Cast by Liana Nightshade with her dying breath. Very powerful, very desperate." She looked up at Elena. "Do you know what your mother locked inside this?" "No. A memory, a name, and a warning." The seer's expression darkened. "Your mother knew she was being hunted, knew that telling anyone the truth would get them killed too, so she locked the information here, in a seal that could only be broken by her daughter's blood, on her daughter's 23rd birthday. Elena felt the blood drain from her face. "My birthday was 2 weeks ago." "I know. The seal has been weakening since then, calling to you. That's why your wolf has been stirring, why your bindings have been cracking, and that's why Patricia panicked." The seer's smile was grim. The witch knew that once you turned 23, once the seal began to break, her control over you would end. She tried to accelerate the process, tried to drain you faster before you could escape. But then the crash happened, and you were taken before she could finish. "Finish what?" Cade's voice was deadly quiet. "Killing her," the seer said it matter-of-factly. "Patricia's been slowly draining Elena for 23 years. Another few months, and Elena would have simply faded. Patricia would have claimed it was a tragic illness, and Vanessa would have absorbed the last of Elena's power. Clean, tidy, profitable. Rage flooded Elena's system, so hot and sudden it made her vision blur. Her wolf snarled inside her chest, demanding blood, demanding justice. "Breathe," Cade said, his hand finding hers under the table. "Don't shift. Not here." Elena forced herself to calm, but it was like swallowing glass. "The seal," Liam prompted. "Can you break it?" "I can. but you won't like what you find inside." The seer looked at Elena. "Your mother died to protect this secret. Are you sure you want to know?" "Yes," Elena said without hesitation. The seer nodded slowly. "Then give me your hand." Elena extended her palm. The seer produced a small silver knife, the same one Elena's mother must have used 23 years ago, and made a quick, clean cut across Elena's palm. Blood welled, bright red against pale skin. The seer guided Elena's bleeding hand to the pendant. The moment Elena's blood touched the silver, the world exploded. Light erupted from the pendant, blinding and terrible. Elena felt herself falling backward, felt Cade catch her, but she couldn't see him. Couldn't see anything but the vision flooding her mind. Her mother's face. Young, beautiful, terrified, running through dark woods with a baby in her arms. "They know." Liana Nightshade gasped, her voice echoing across time. "They know what she is. What she can become. Then we hide her," another voice said, male, familiar somehow. "Bind her, Wolf, erase her memories. It won't be enough. They'll hunt her forever. Unless," Liana's eyes widened, "unless they think she's dead." The vision shifted. A ritual circle. Liana standing in the center. The baby Elena in her arms. Blood everywhere. So much blood. I, Liana Nightshade, last daughter of the silver moon, seal this truth with my life. My daughter is not Elena Nightshade. She is Elena Moonshadow, daughter of the first wolf, carrier of the ancient blood. She is the bridge between worlds, the key to the old magic, and they will kill her for it. "Who?" Elena heard herself scream into the vision. "Who wants me dead?" Liana's dying eyes found hers across time and space. "The Alpha King," she whispered. "He cannot allow a female of the first blood to live. Because if you survive to your 25th birthday, if you complete your transformation, you will have the power to challenge his throne, to end his reign, to free our people from his tyranny." The vision shattered. Elena crashed back into her body, gasping. Cade was holding her, his face pale with shock. Ash and Liam looked like they'd seen ghosts. The seer sat back, her expression unreadable. "Now you know." "The Alpha King," Cade said slowly. His voice shook with barely controlled rage. "He ordered the massacre. He killed Silver Moon, to eliminate the first bloodline." The seer confirmed. Elena's mother, her grandmother, her aunts all slaughtered to prevent exactly what Elena is becoming. But Liana hid her daughter, faked her death, and bought 23 years of safety. She looked at Elena. "But that safety is over now, child. The seal is broken. The Alpha King's seers will feel it. They'll know a first blood survived, and they will come for you." Elena's mind was reeling. "I don't understand. What is first blood? What does it mean?" "It means you're descended from the first shifters," Liam said quietly. "The ones who walked with gods. Only a handful of bloodlines still carry it, and they're hunted to extinction because they can challenge the Alpha King's authority." Ash finished, his silver eyes blazing. "The throne isn't hereditary. It's earned through combat and magic. But for centuries, the king has maintained power by killing anyone strong enough to oppose him, anyone with first blood." "He's not a king," Cade said softly. "He's a tyrant." The seer stood, moving to a shelf and pulling down a leather-bound book. "Elena Moonshadow. That's your true name. Your mother gave you her power, her legacy, and her hope, but she also gave you a burden." She opened the book, showing Elena a page covered in ancient script. "This is the prophecy of the first wolf. It says that when the darkness is greatest, when the people have forgotten freedom, a daughter of the first blood will rise. She will unite the scattered packs. She will challenge the tyrant, and she will restore balance." "Ordy trying," Ash muttered. "I'm not a hero," Elena said, her voice shaking. I just learned I was a wolf 2 days ago. How am I supposed to challenge a king?" "You have 2 years," the seer said, "until your 25th birthday, when your power fully manifests. 2 years to learn, to grow, to become what you were meant to be. Or 2 years to run and hide, hoping the king never finds you." She closed the book. "The choice is yours. Silence filled the cabin. Elena looked down at her bleeding palm, at the pendant now dark and lifeless on the table. 23 years of lies, 23 years of stolen life. And now this a destiny she never asked for. A war she never wanted. But deep inside, her wolf stirred. And Elena heard her mother's voice one last time. You are stronger than you know, my daughter, braver than you believe. And you are not alone. Elena lifted her head, meeting Cade's golden eyes. If I do this, if I try to become what the prophecy says, will your pack stand with me? Yes, Cade said without hesitation. Even if it means war with the Alpha King? Especially then. Cade's expression was fierce. He killed my father, slaughtered your family. He's ruled through fear and blood for too long. If you're willing to fight him, Elena, then we're with you. All the way. Ash and Liam nodded, their faces set with grim determination. Elena took a shaky breath. 23 years of being powerless. Of being small and grateful and weak. No more. Then teach me, she said. Teach me how to be a wolf. How to fight. How to lead. Because I'm not going to spend the next 2 years hiding. She stood, and despite her fear, despite everything, her voice was steady. I'm going to spend them becoming the thing the Alpha King fears most. The seer smiled. There she is, the daughter of the first wolf. Outside, thunder rumbled. A storm was coming, and Elena Moonshadow was ready to meet it. Chapter 6. The training begins. They returned to Blackthorn territory as the storm broke. Rain lashed the windshield, and lightning carved the sky into jagged pieces. Elena watched the wilderness blur past, her mind still reeling from the seer's revelations. 2 years. She had 2 years to become someone capable of challenging the most powerful shifter in North America. 2 years to become someone worth killing. Stop spiraling, Cade said without looking at her. I can smell your fear from here. I'm not afraid, Elena lied. You should be. Fear keeps you sharp. He finally glanced over, his golden eyes softer. But don't let it paralyze you. We have time, Elena. Not a lot, but enough. Enough for what? To turn me into a warrior? I've never thrown a punch in my life. I don't know the first thing about pack politics, or combat, or… You know how to survive, Cade interrupted. You spent 23 years in a hostile environment, with someone actively draining your life force, and you're still here, still fighting. That's not weakness, Elena. That's strength. The truck pulled off the main road onto a private drive. They traveled for another 10 minutes before the trees opened to reveal Blackthorn territory. Elena's breath caught. It was beautiful. A compound of cabins nestled in a valley, surrounded by towering pines and a river that glittered even in the storm. The main house was massive, part lodge, part fortress with warm light spilling from its windows. Smaller cabins dotted the property, and in the distance, Elena could see training grounds, a gathering hall, and what looked like a forge. Home, Cade said simply. As they parked, people emerged from the buildings. Shifters, Elena realized. At least 24 of them, ranging from teenagers to elders. They watched with curious, cautious eyes as Elena climbed out of the truck. Everyone. Cade's voice carried effortlessly across the compound. This is Elena Moonshadow, last daughter of the Silver Moon Pack. She's under Blackthorn protection now. Anyone who touches her answers to me. The crowd murmured, but Elena caught the shift in their expressions. Recognition, respect, and something else, hope. A woman stepped forward. She was in her 50s, with gray-streaked hair and kind eyes. Elena Moonshadow. We thought your bloodline was extinct. This is a gift. She placed a hand over her heart in what Elena recognized instinctively as a sign of respect. Welcome home, daughter of the first wolf. Others echoed the gesture. Elena felt tears prick her eyes. Thank you, she managed. The woman smiled. I'm Mara. I run the kitchens, and basically keep this pack from falling apart. You look exhausted. Let's get you fed and settled. She needs to train, Ash said, appearing at Elena's side. She needs to eat and sleep, Mara countered firmly. Training can wait until morning. Ash looked like he wanted to argue, but Cade shook his head. Mara's right. Elena's been through hell, She needs rest. Reluctantly, Ash stepped back. Mara led Elena toward the main house, chattering about the pack, the territory, the routines. Elena tried to pay attention, but exhaustion was catching up with her. The adrenaline from the seer's revelation was fading, leaving her hollow and shaky. Inside, the main house was warm and welcoming. A massive stone fireplace dominated one wall, comfortable furniture arranged for conversation, photos everywhere, pack members in human and wolf form, celebrations, hunts, family. Your room, Mara said, opening a door on the second floor. Cade had us prepare it this morning. If you need anything, I'm just down the hall. The room was simple but beautiful. A large bed with soft linens, a window overlooking the forest, and on the dresser, a small wooden box. What's that? Elena asked. Things from your mother, Mara said softly. We saved what we could from Silver Moon after the attack. Not much survived, but... She opened the box, revealing a few items. A silver comb, a journal, a photo. Elena picked up the photo with trembling hands. A woman stared back at her, young, radiant, with Elena's eyes and hair. She was laughing, arms around two other women who looked similar. Sisters, maybe. Or cousins. All dead now. That's Elena, Mara confirmed. Your mother. She was... extraordinary. Fierce and kind in equal measure. The entire pack loved her. Did you know her well? Well enough to know she would be proud of you. Mara squeezed Elena's shoulder. Rest now. Tomorrow, your real training begins. After Mara left, Elena sat on the bed, holding her mother's photo. She tried to remember some fragment of memory from infancy, some echo of Leanna's voice, but there was nothing, just the weight of a legacy she'd never asked for. A knock at the door. Cade entered without waiting for permission, carrying a tray of food. Mara said you needed to eat. I'm not hungry. Eat anyway, you'll need your strength. He set the tray on the nightstand, then hesitated. Can I sit? Elena nodded. Cade sat at the foot of the bed, maintaining a respectful distance. For a long moment, they just existed in comfortable silence. I'm scared, Elena finally admitted. Terrified, actually. The Alpha King has armies, resources, centuries of experience. What do I have? Us, Cade said simply. You have pack, and you have time to build more. He turned to look at her fully. Elena, I won't lie to you. The path ahead is brutal. The training will push you past every limit. The politics will be treacherous, and when the king learns you're alive, he'll send everything he has to kill you. Great pep talk. Cade's lips twitched. But you're not facing it alone. Every shifter in this compound will train you, fight for you, die for you if necessary, because you're not just Elena anymore. You're hope. You're the possibility of change. That's a lot of pressure. It is, but you're already handling it. His golden eyes held hers. You survived, Patricia. You survived the crash. You survived having your wolf bound for 23 years. You're stronger than you think, Elena Moonshadow. Elena wanted to believe him, wanted to feel the confidence he seemed to have in her. What if I fail? She whispered. Then we fail together. Cade reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he took her hand. But I don't think you will. I think you're going to surprise everyone, including yourself. The mate bond hummed between them. Elena could feel it now, a golden thread connecting her soul to his. It was warm, steady, grounding. This bond, she said. Does it ever get easier? Less intense? No. Cade's smile was rueful. It only gets stronger. But Elena, I meant what I said before. I won't pressure you, won't demand anything. The bond is there, but what we do about it, that's your choice. What do you want? The question hung between them. Cade's thumb traced circles on her palm, and Elena felt heat spread from the touch. I want to court you properly, he said finally. Want to earn your trust, your respect, your affection. I want you to choose me not because fate decided it, but because you want to. His voice dropped lower. But I also want to mark you, claim you, bind you to me so completely that nothing can ever take you away, so the Alpha King can't touch you without starting a war. Elena's breath hitched, That's honest. I told you. I don't lie to my mate. Cade released her hand and stood. Eat. Sleep. Tomorrow, we start training. And Elena? He paused at the door. You're not alone anymore. Remember that. After he left, Elena ate mechanically, then crawled into bed. She expected to lie awake, mind racing with fears and prophecies and impossible destinies. Instead, she fell asleep almost instantly, her wolf content for the first time in 23 years. She was home. Dawn came too early. Someone pounded on Elena's door at what felt like the middle of the night. Up. Ash's voice barked. Training starts in 15 minutes. Don't be late. Elena groaned, but forced herself out of bed. Her body ached probably from the shift yesterday, but there was also a strange energy humming through her. Her wolf was awake, eager. She dressed in the workout clothes someone had left on her dresser, then stumbled downstairs. The compound was already alive with activity. Shifters running perimeter patrols, others sparring in the training grounds, children playing near the river. Ash was waiting outside, looking annoyingly alert. You look like death. Good morning to you too. I don't do pleasantries. Come on. He led her to the training grounds, where Liam and a handful of other shifters were already warming up. Cade stood to the side, arms crossed, watching everything with a critical eye. First rule, Ash said. Your human body is weak. We're going to fix that. Shifters heal fast, but we can still be hurt, still be killed. You need to be strong in both forms. Okay, Elena said. Second rule, your wolf has instincts. Learn to trust them, but don't let them control you. The best fighters are the ones who can think like humans and fight like wolves. Makes sense. Third rule, I'm going to push you until you break, and then I'm going to push you further. No complaining, no quitting. Understood? Elena met his silver eyes. Understood. Ash smiled. It was not a kind smile. Good. Start running. 10 miles. Don't stop. 10 miles? 12 now. Keep talking and it'll be 15. Elena swallowed her protest and started running. It was brutal. Her lungs burned. Her legs screamed. Human Elena would have collapsed after a mile, but shifter Elena she pushed through. Her wolf lent her strength, her endurance, her determination. By mile 5, she'd found a rhythm. By mile 8, she was flying. By mile 10, she understood. This wasn't punishment. This was teaching her what her body could do. When she finally stumbled back to the training grounds, Ash actually looked impressed. Not bad. Now, hand-to-hand combat. Liam will be your partner. The next 3 hours were a blur of punches, kicks, throws, and pain. Liam was patient but merciless, correcting her form, teaching her to use an opponent's strength against them. Elena fell a dozen times, got back up 13. By noon, she could barely stand. Good, Ash said. You're not completely hopeless. Tomorrow we start weapons training. Be here at dawn. Elena wanted to collapse, wanted to cry from exhaustion and pain, but she saw the pack, saw the respect in their eyes, the hope, and forced herself to stand straight. I'll be here, she said. Cade appeared at her side, offering water. You did well. I feel like I got hit by a truck. You'll feel worse tomorrow, but you'll also be stronger. He handed her a towel. Come on, let's get you fed. As they walked back to the main house, Elena caught sight of her reflection in a window. Sweaty, bruised, exhausted, but also alive, strong, becoming. The daughter of the first wolf wasn't born in prophecy. She was forged in training grounds, in pain and sweat and determination, and Elena was ready to be forged. Chapter 7, The First Test. 6 weeks passed in a blur of training, pain, and transformation. Elena woke before dawn every day, her body screaming protest that she ignored. She ran until her legs gave out, then ran further. She sparred until her knuckles bled, then sparred more. She learned to fight with knives, staffs, her bare hands. She learned pack hierarchy, shifter politics, the complex web of alliances and enemies that governed their world. And slowly, painfully, she became someone new. Again, Ash barked, circling her in the training ring. "You're telegraphing your moves. I can see every punch before you throw it." Elena wiped blood from her split lip and raised her fists. They'd been at this for 2 hours, and Ash hadn't gone easy on her once. Good. She didn't want easy. She feinted left, then drove right, her fist connecting with Ash's ribs. He grunted actual surprise, crossing his face before sweeping her legs out from under her. Elena hit the ground hard but rolled immediately, coming up in a defensive crouch. "Better," Ash admitted. "You're learning." "High praise from you," Elena panted. "Don't let it go to your head." But there was approval in his silver eyes. "Take 5, then we shift and run patrol." Elena collapsed onto a bench, gulping water. Her body was changing muscles she'd never had before, reflexes sharper, senses more acute. She was still smaller than most of the pack, but what she lacked in size, she was making up for in speed and cunning. Cade approached, carrying a towel. Over the past weeks, he'd been true to his word, giving her space, never pushing, but always there, training with her, eating meals beside her, walking her back to her room each night with nothing more than a soft, sleep well. The mate bond had grown stronger. Elena felt it constantly now, a warm presence in her chest that flared whenever Cade was near. Her wolf wanted him, craved him, but Elena was determined to make her own choices, not be ruled by biology, even if those choices were getting harder every day. "You're getting good," Cade observed, sitting beside her, close enough to feel his heat, far enough to be respectful. "Ash says I'm still terrible." Ash said you're learning. That's basically a love confession from him. Cade's smile was warm. "Seriously, Elena, 6 weeks ago you didn't know how to throw a punch. Now you're holding your own against one of the best fighters in the pack. I still can't beat him." "You will. Give it time." Cade's expression turned serious. "Actually, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. Time, or rather, the lack of it." Elena's stomach dropped. "What happened?" "We got word this morning. The Alpha King's enforcers have been asking questions, visiting packs, demanding to know if anyone's seen a female shifter matching your description." Cade's jaw tightened. "He knows you're alive, Elena, and he's looking." Fear spiked through her, but Elena forced it down. "How long until they find us?" "Hard to say. Could be weeks, could be days. Blackthorn territory is well hidden, and we have wards, but—" He met her eyes. "We need to accelerate your training. Prove to the other packs that you're worth protecting, worth risking war over, which means you need to complete your first trial." Trial. Every shifter of the first blood undergoes 3 trials before their 25th birthday. Liam said, joining them. His amber eyes were grave. "Tests of strength, wisdom, and heart. You pass all 3, and you're recognized as a legitimate heir, as someone capable of challenging for leadership." "What kind of tests?" "The first is combat," Ash said, appearing from behind them like a predator. "You have to defeat a challenger in single combat, wolf form, no holds barred." Elena's mouth went dry. "When?" "Tonight." Cade stood, offering his hand to help her up. "The full moon, it's tradition. And it'll send a message that you're not hiding, not running, that you're ready to fight for your place." "I've only been training for 6 weeks, Elena protested. "I'm not ready." "You're as ready as you're going to be," Ash interrupted. "And we're out of time. The King's enforcers will be here within the month. You need to prove yourself before they arrive." Elena looked between the 3 males. They believed in her, she could see it in their faces, feel it through the pack bonds that had been forming. But belief wasn't enough against tooth and claw. "Who's my challenger?" she asked. The males exchanged glances. "Me," said a voice from behind. Elena turned to find a woman approaching. She was tall, powerful, with auburn hair and green eyes that burned with intensity. Elena recognized her from the compound. Kara, one of the senior warriors. She'd trained alongside Elena a few times, and every session had ended with Elena flat on her back. "Kara," Cade said, his tone warning. "You don't have to do this." "Yes, I do." Kara stopped a few feet from Elena, her expression unreadable. If Elena is truly first blood, if she's truly meant to challenge the Alpha King, then she needs to prove it. Not against someone holding back, not against a training partner, against someone who wants to win. "I'm not trying to replace you," Elena said quickly. Or take your position. I know. Kara's expression softened slightly. But the pack needs to see what you're capable of. And frankly, so do I. The Alpha King killed my brother in the Silver Moon massacre. If you're going to avenge him, I need to know you're strong enough. Elena understood. This wasn't about hostility. It was about trust. About proving she was worth following into war. Okay, Elena said, lifting her chin. Tonight. I accept. Kara smiled. Good. Don't hold back, little wolf. Because I won't. The pack gathered as the full moon rose. They formed a circle in a clearing deep in the territory, torches flickering in the darkness. Elena stood at one edge. Naked and shivering shifters didn't waste clothes on fights. Across from her, Kara waited, equally bare, her muscles coiled and ready. Mara had painted Elena's face with ash and silver, traditional markings for first blood challengers. The weight of the moment pressed down on her dozens of eyes, watching, judging, hoping. Cade stood at the circle's edge, his expression carefully neutral. But Elena could feel his tension through the bond, his fear for her, his belief in her. The rules are simple, Ash announced, his voice carrying across the clearing. First to yield, or first to fall. No killing blows, but everything else is fair. This is a test of strength, skill, and will. He looked at Elena. Then Kara. Begin when the moon clears the trees. Elena's heart hammered, her wolf paced inside her chest, eager and anxious. 6 weeks. She'd had 6 weeks to prepare for something that should take years. But she was done being weak. Done being prey. The moon cleared the trees. Both women shifted. The transformation was faster now, smoother. Elena's wolf burst forth with a snarl, silver fur gleaming in the moonlight. She was still smaller than Kara. The auburn wolf was massive, battle-scarred, experienced. But Elena was fast. Kara lunged first, a test of Elena's reflexes. Elena dodged, barely, feeling teeth snap closed inches from her throat. She countered with a strike at Kara's flank, but the older wolf twisted away effortlessly. They circled each other, Elena's mind racing. Strength wouldn't win this. Experience wouldn't win this. She needed to be smarter. Kara attacked again, a vicious combination that drove Elena backward. Elena felt claws rake her shoulder, pain flaring bright. Her wolf wanted to retaliate, to meet violence with violence. But Elena remembered Ash's lessons. Use your opponent's strength against them. When Kara lunged again, Elena didn't dodge. She dropped low, letting Kara's momentum carry her overhead, then struck upward at the exposed belly. Her teeth found purchase, drawing blood. Kara yelped and spun, faster than Elena expected. They collided in a tangle of fur and fangs, rolling across the clearing. Elena felt ribs crack Kara's or hers. She couldn't tell. Pain was distant now, drowned out by adrenaline and instinct. They separated, both bleeding, both panting. The pack was silent, watching. Kara's green eyes held respect now. And something else, approval. She attacked again, but this time Elena was ready. She'd been watching Kara's patterns, learning her tells. When Kara went high, Elena went low. When Kara used strength, Elena used speed. They fought for what felt like hours but was probably minutes. Elena took damage. Her body would be a mass of bruises and cuts tomorrow, but she gave as good as she got. And slowly, impossibly, she began to gain ground. Kara was tiring. Her attacks were a fraction slower, her defenses less tight. Elena's wolf sensed victory, pressing harder, but Elena held back. This wasn't about humiliation. It was about proving herself. When Kara lunged again, Elena sidestepped and struck not at a vital area, but at Kara's legs, sweeping them out from under her. The auburn wolf crashed to the ground, and Elena was on her instantly, teeth at her throat. Not biting, just holding. The message clear. I could kill you, but I won't. For a heartbeat, Kara struggled. Then, slowly, she went still. Submission. Elena released her and stepped back, her wolf singing with triumph. The pack erupted. Cheers, howls, celebration. Elena shifted back to human form, gasping and shaking. Kara shifted too, and to Elena's surprise, she was smiling. Well fought, First Blood, Kara said, extending her hand. You've earned my respect. Elena shook it, still dazed. You went easy on me at the end. I didn't. Kara's smile widened. You're just that good. Raw, untrained in many ways, but good. Give it a few more months, and you'll be unstoppable. Cade appeared, wrapping a blanket around Elena's shoulders. His eyes blazed with pride and something fiercer. You did it. I did it, Elena echoed, disbelief coloring her voice. First trial, complete, Ash announced. Elena Moonshadow has proven her strength. She is recognized as First Blood, heir to the Silver Moon legacy. The pack howled their approval, the sound echoing across the valley. And somewhere, hundreds of miles away, Elena knew the Alpha King was listening. Let him hear. Let him know she was coming. Later, after the celebration had died down, and Elena's wounds had been tended, she found herself alone on the main house's porch. Her body ached everywhere, but it was a good ache. The ache of accomplishment. Cade found her there, 2 mugs of tea in hand. Thought you could use this. Thanks. Elena accepted the mug, their fingers brushing. The mate bond flared, warm and insistent. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the moon. 2 more trials, Elena said finally. What are they? Wisdom and heart, Cade said. The second trial tests your mind, your ability to lead, to make impossible choices, to see through deception. The third tests your soul, your capacity for sacrifice, for love, for putting others before yourself. Sounds harder than fighting. It is. Cade turned to look at her, moonlight turning his eyes molten. But you'll pass them too. I know you will. You have a lot of faith in someone you barely know. I know you better than you think. His voice dropped lower. I've watched you transform over these weeks, Elena. Watched you push past every limit, refuse to quit even when you were broken and bleeding. Watched you earn the respect of every wolf in this pack. You're not the scared girl who woke up in my cabin 6 weeks ago. You're becoming the woman the prophecy spoke of. Elena's throat tightened. And what if I don't want to be that woman? What if I just want to be me? Then be you. Cade's hand found hers. The prophecy doesn't own you, Elena. Destiny is what you make it. If you want to fight the Alpha King, we'll help you. If you want to run and hide, we'll protect you. And if you want to find a third path entirely, he squeezed her hand, we'll walk it with you. The mate bond thrummed between them, and Elena made a decision. She leaned forward and kissed him. It was tentative at first, testing. But when Cade's arms came around her, careful of her injuries, Elena melted into it. The bond exploded, flooding her with sensation and emotion. This wasn't just attraction. It was recognition. Home. Belonging. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Cade rested his forehead against hers. Elena, I'm not ready for forever, she interrupted. Not ready for marking or claiming or any of the permanent things. But I want this. Want you. Is that enough? It's everything, Cade said roughly. For now, for always, it's everything. They sat together under the full moon, Elena's head on Cade's shoulder, the mate bond singing between them. Somewhere out there, the Alpha King's enforcers were coming. But tonight, Elena allowed herself to feel safe, to feel strong, to feel hope. The trials weren't over, the war hadn't begun, but Elena Moonshadow was ready for whatever came next. Chapter 8. The Enforcers' Arrival. 3 days after Elena's trial, the enforcers came. Elena was in the training grounds, working through knife drills with Liam, when she felt a disturbance in the territory's wards. Like a discordant note in a symphony, wrong and intrusive. Her wolf bristled, hackles rising. They're here. Cade's voice cut across the compound, sharp with authority. Everyone to positions. Now, the pack moved with practiced efficiency. Warriors took defensive positions around the perimeter. Non-combatants retreated to the main house. Children were ushered into the reinforced basement. Within minutes, Blackthorn territory transformed from peaceful home to fortress. Elena stood frozen, knife still in hand. Come on, Liam urged, gripping her shoulder. You need to be inside, protected. No. Elena's voice was steadier than she felt. I'm not hiding. If they're here for me, I face them. Elena? She's right, Cade said, appearing beside them. His expression was grim but resolved. Hiding makes her look weak. Guilty. If she's going to be a leader, she needs to face this. He met Elena's eyes. But you stay behind me, understood? Elena nodded. They moved to the compound's entrance, where Ash already waited with a dozen warriors. The gate was closed but not locked. A message. You're not welcome, but we're not afraid. Through the bars, Elena saw them approaching. 5 wolves, all massive, all moving with the lethal grace of trained killers. They shifted as they reached the gate, standing naked and unashamed in their human forms. 4 males and 1 female, all bearing the Alpha King's mark, a black crown tattooed over their hearts. The leader stepped forward. He was tall, dark-skinned, with silver eyes that held nothing but cold calculation. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of absolute authority. I am Darius, first enforcer to Alpha King Silas Blackwood. I'm here on official pack business. Open the gate. This is private territory, Cade replied, his tone equally cold. You have no jurisdiction here. I have jurisdiction everywhere the king's law extends. Darius's smile was sharp as broken glass, which is everywhere. Now, we can do this the easy way, or I can invoke king's right and tear down your gates. Your choice, Cade Blackthorn. Cade's jaw tightened, but he nodded to Ash. The gates swung open. The enforcers entered like predators sizing up prey. Their eyes swept the compound, cataloging defenses, counting warriors, assessing threats. When Darius's gaze landed on Elena, his expression didn't change, but she felt the intensity of his scrutiny like a physical touch. You must be the anomaly, Darius said. The female shifter who appeared out of nowhere 6 weeks ago. No pack history, no registration, no record of existence. He circled her slowly, curious. I'm Elena Moonshadow, Elena said, forcing her voice to remain level. Daughter of Lyanna Nightshade, heir to the Silver Moon Pack. Darius stopped circling. Impossible. Silver Moon was destroyed a decade ago. Everyone died. Not everyone. Elena met his silver eyes. My mother hid me, bound my wolf to keep me safe. But I'm awake now, and I'm claiming my birthright. Your birthright. Darius's laugh was devoid of humor. And what birthright is that, exactly? Heir to a dead pack? Descendant of a slaughtered bloodline? Or, his voice dropped dangerously low, do you claim something more? The clearing went silent. Elena knew this was the moment. The choice that would define everything. She could deny the first blood, deny the prophecy, live as a minor noble in Cade's pack. Safe, obscure, forgotten. Or she could step into the destiny her mother died to give her. I claim first blood, Elena said clearly. And the right to challenge for Alpha. The enforcers shifted, hands moving to weapons that weren't there. Darius's expression turned glacial. That's treason. That's law, Cade countered. Any shifter of the first blood has the right to challenge. It's been pack law for 1,000 years. Pack law written when first blood still existed, Darius said. There hasn't been a legitimate first blood challenge in 2 centuries. The line is extinct. Clearly not, Liam said mildly. Darius's attention snapped to him, then back to Elena. Prove it. Prove your first blood. Elena had expected this. The seer had warned her. She reached for her pendant, but Cade's hand on her wrist stopped her. You don't have to prove anything to him, Cade said quietly. Yes, I do. Elena gently pulled free. If I want to be taken seriously, if I want other packs to support me, I need to show them I'm not lying. She lifted the pendant over her head and held it out. The silver glowed faintly in the afternoon light, and Elena focused, reaching for the power her mother had sealed inside. The pendant erupted with light. Images poured forth, not visible to everyone, but Elena narrated what she saw. Lyanna Nightshade, performing the blood seal, calling on the power of the first wolf, binding her daughter's heritage with her dying breath. The light intensified. The bloodline of the first, unbroken from the beginning. Elena Moonshadow, 23rd generation, carrier of the ancient blood. The light faded. Elena swayed, exhausted, but Cade caught her. Darius stared at the pendant, his expression unreadable. Then he looked at his fellow enforcers. Some silent communication passed between them. Even if you are first blood, Darius said slowly. You're untrained, unclaimed, a child playing at being a warrior. The king doesn't fear you. Then why are you here? Elena challenged. Darius smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. To deliver a message. The king knows you exist, knows you're being hidden and trained by Blackthorn Pack. He's willing to be merciful. He pulled a sealed letter from a bag one of the other enforcers carried. Read this. Consider his offer. You have 1 week to respond. Cade took the letter, his expression murderous. And if we refuse, then the king will assume you're supporting a traitor. Darius's voice was soft, deadly. And Blackthorn Pack will be declared rogue, stripped of territory, protection, and rights. Hunted until extinct. The threat hung in the air like poison. 1 week, Darius repeated. He nodded to his enforcers, and they moved toward the gate. But at the threshold, he paused, looking back at Elena. For what it's worth, I knew your mother. Liana was a good woman. She deserved better than what happened to her. Something almost like regret flickered in his eyes. Think carefully, Elena Moonshadow. Some destinies aren't worth dying for. Then they were gone, disappearing into the forest with the same lethal grace they'd arrived with. The moment they were out of sight, the compound exploded into chaos. Warriors shouting, pack members demanding answers, everyone talking over each other. Quiet. Cade's voice cut through the noise. Everyone to the hall. Now. We discussed this as a pack. An hour later, the entire pack was crammed into the gathering hall. Elena sat at the head table beside Cade, Ash, and Liam, feeling dozens of eyes on her. The weight of responsibility was crushing. Cade opened the king's letter and read aloud. To Elena Moonshadow, claimant of first blood. Your existence presents a problem. Your bloodline was meant to be extinguished for the good of all shifters. However, I am not without mercy. I offer you a choice. Renounce your claim to first blood. Submit to binding that will permanently suppress your wolf. Live out your days as human, and I will leave you in peace. Blackthorn Pack will not be punished for harboring you, or persist in your claim. Attempt to rally packs to your cause. In which case, I will be forced to eliminate you as a threat, and everyone who stands with you will be eliminated as well. You have 1 week to decide. Choose wisely. Alpha King Silas Blackwood. Silence followed. Heavy, suffocating silence. He's asking you to give up everything, Mara said finally, her voice thick with emotion. Your wolf, your heritage, your future, that's not mercy, that's cruelty, but it's also survival. Someone else said. For all of us. If Elena refuses, we're all targets. Since when do blackthorns bow to threats? Ash snarled. Since those threats could end our pack. The voice shot back. We have children here. Families. Are we supposed to sacrifice them for one wolf's pride? Arguments erupted. Some supported Elena unconditionally. Others, while sympathetic, feared for their families. The pack was fracturing before Elena's eyes. Enough, Elena said. Her voice wasn't loud, but something in it, some edge of command, silenced the room. She stood, meeting every gaze. This isn't your choice. It's mine, and I won't ask any of you to die for me. Elena, Cade started. Let me finish. Elena's hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. I understand your fear. The Alpha King is powerful, ruthless, and he's ruled unchallenged for decades. Standing against him is suicide. I know that. She paused. But so is surrendering. Because if I give up now, if I let him bind my wolf and bury my heritage, what message does that send? That the king can threaten anyone into submission? That first blood means nothing? That we're all just his property, to be controlled or killed at his whim? She looked around the room. My mother died so I could have a choice. So I could be free. If I give that up without fighting, her death meant nothing. All those deaths, Silver Moon, the other first bloodlines, everyone the king has murdered to maintain his power, they all meant nothing. So what are you saying? Someone asked. Elena took a deep breath. I'm saying I won't submit. I won't be bound. And I won't let the king dictate my life. She met Cade's eyes. But I also won't force any of you to stand with me. Anyone who wants to leave, who wants to take their families somewhere safe, I understand. I'll leave Blackthorn territory myself, if that's what it takes to protect you. You're not going anywhere, Cade said firmly. He stood beside her, his presence solid and unwavering. Blackthorn Pack doesn't abandon family. And your family, Elena. Mate, bond or not. First blood or not, you're ours. We stand with Cade, Ash said, rising. Which means we stand with you. Same, Liam added. One by one, the pack members stood. Not all of them, a few remained seated. Faces troubled, but most. The message was clear. They chose Elena. Chose freedom over fear. Kara rose last, her green eyes fierce. I didn't fight you in that circle so you could give up at the first threat. Your first blood, Elena. Act like it. Elena's throat tightened with emotion. Thank you. All of you. But we need to be smart about this. The king expects me to either submit or go into hiding. We need to do neither. What are you proposing? Cade asked. Elena had been thinking about this since Darius left. The second trial. The test of wisdom. I need to complete it before the week is up. If I pass, I'll have the right to formally call a challenge. Not just a skirmish, but an official challenge for Alpha. King's law says he has to accept. And if you lose, you die, Ash pointed out. If I do nothing, I die anyway. At least this way, I control the field. Elena looked at Cade. When is the second trial? What does it involve? Cade and his brothers exchanged glances. The trial of wisdom has no set time. Liam said carefully. It comes when it comes. Usually in the form of an impossible choice, something that tests your judgment, your priorities, your ability to lead. Could be tomorrow, could be months from now, Ash added. There's no way to force it. Elena's heart sank. Then we're out of time. Maybe not, Mara said, stepping forward. The trials come when they're needed most, when the candidate is facing a crisis that demands wisdom to resolve. She looked meaningfully at Elena. Seems to me you're in exactly that situation. As if in response, the hall doors burst open. A young wolf stumbled in, bleeding and gasping. Enforcers, he choked out. They didn't leave. They're surrounding the territory, dozens of them, and they have Patricia Rivera with them. Elena's blood ran cold. Patricia? Why would they? She's claiming rights, the scout continued. Says you're stolen property, that she has legal custody under witch law, and the king is backing her claim. Understanding crashed over Elena like ice water. The king wasn't giving her a week to decide. He was giving her an impossible choice right now. Submit to Patricia, return to being bound, drained, enslaved, or fight both the enforcers and the king's law, proving she was the dangerous rogue he claimed. The second trial had begun, and Elena had minutes, not days, to figure out how to pass it. Chapter 9. The impossible choice. The compound descended into controlled chaos. Warriors rushed to defensive positions. Families gathered in the main house. Scouts returned with increasingly grim reports. Over 40 enforcers surrounded the territory, all armed, all bearing the king's mark. And in the center of their formation, protected like precious cargo, stood Patricia Rivera. Elena stood at the window of Cade's study, watching torches appear in the darkness beyond their borders. Her mind raced, trying to find an angle, a loophole, anything that would let her navigate this nightmare without condemning everyone she cared about. It's elegant, really, Ash said bitterly. He was pacing, his restless energy filling the room. The king can't just murder you without looking like a tyrant. But if Patricia has legal claim under witch law, and you resist that claim, then you're the lawbreaker. He gets to eliminate you while looking like he's upholding justice. There has to be a way out, Liam said, flipping through ancient law books. Some precedent, some exception. There isn't. Cade's voice was flat. He stood beside Elena, close enough that she could feel his heat, his barely leashed rage. Witch law is clear. If Patricia can prove she had custody of Elena as a minor, and that Elena was bound by magical contract, then Elena is considered her property until that contract is fulfilled or broken. I'm not property, Elena said quietly. I know. But the law disagrees. Cade's fist clenched on the windowsill. And if we fight this with violence, we're proving the king right. That you're dangerous. That first blood can't be trusted to respect the law. Elena closed her eyes. The trial of wisdom. This was it, the impossible choice that would define whether she was fit to lead. Option 1. Surrender to Patricia. Return to Seattle, to binding and draining and slow death. Save the pack but lose herself. Option 2. Fight. Let Cade and his wolves battle the enforcers. Blood would be spilled on both sides. The pack would be declared rogue. Everyone here, including children, would be hunted, and the king would use it as proof that first blood was too dangerous to exist. Option 3. Run. Slip away, let Patricia claim she can't find Elena. But that was just delaying the inevitable, and the king would likely punish Blackthorn Pack anyway. None of them were acceptable. There's a fourth option, Mara said from the doorway. She entered carrying an ancient tome, her expression grave. It's risky, possibly suicidal, but it's there. Tell me, Elena demanded. Mara opened the book to a marked page. Witch law says Patricia has custody rights, but shifter law says you're an adult pack member with full autonomy. The two legal systems are in conflict. She looked up. There's a provision for that, trial by ordeal. What kind of ordeal? Cade asked. The challenged party, Elena, must face 3 tests set by the challenger, Patricia. If Elena passes all 3, the custody claim is void. If she fails even one, Patricia's claim stands, and she can do whatever she wants with Elena. Elena's stomach churned. What kind of tests? That's the catch. The challenger sets them, and they only have to follow one rule. They must be theoretically possible to pass. Mara's expression was grim. Patricia could make them nearly impossible. Could stack the deck so completely that failure is almost guaranteed. But it's still a chance, Elena said. Better than the alternatives. Elena, no. Cade started. What choice do we have? Elena turned to face him, and the mate bond flared between them. She could feel his terror for her, his desperate need to protect her, but she could also feel his understanding. If I fight, people die. If I run, they suffer. If I surrender, everything my mother sacrificed was for nothing. At least this way. There's a possibility I win. And if you lose, then I lose on my own terms, fighting, not cowering. Elena touched his face gently. I have to do this, Cade. You know I do. For a long moment, Cade just looked at her. Then he pulled her close, pressing his forehead to hers. If she tries to kill you, I'm ripping her apart. King's law be damned. Deal, Elena whispered. 30 minutes later, they stood at the territory's edge, facing the assembled enforcers. Darius stood at the front, his expression unreadable, and beside him, looking entirely too pleased with herself, stood Patricia. She'd changed since Elena last saw her. There was power radiating from her now stolen power, Elena realized. Patricia had been draining Vanessa harder, preparing for this confrontation. Elena, Patricia said, her voice carrying across the clearing. Come home. This doesn't have to be difficult. I'm not your daughter, Elena called back. I'm not your property, and I'm not coming with you. You don't have a choice, Patricia replied. I have a legally binding custody contract, signed by the Witch Council. You're mine until your 25th birthday or until I release you. Those are the terms. Then I invoke trial by ordeal, Elena said clearly. I challenge the validity of your claim under ancient law. 3 tests, witnessed by neutral parties. I pass, your claim is void. I fail. I submit to your custody without resistance. Murmuring rippled through the enforcers. Patricia's eyes narrowed. You don't know what you're asking for. I know exactly what I'm asking for. Elena stepped forward, leaving the safety of Blackthorn territory. Or are you afraid I'll win? Patricia's smile was cold. Fine, trial by ordeal it is. Darius will serve as witness? I will, Darius confirmed. He looked at Elena with something that might have been respect. The terms are binding. 3 tests, set by Patricia Rivera. Success requires passing all 3. Failure in even one test means Elena Moonshadow submits to Patricia's custody with no further resistance or interference from Blackthorn Pack. Agreed? Agreed, Elena said. Cade moved to stand beside her. I'm her second. Anything that happens to her will happen to you too? Patricia laughed. How romantic, but unnecessary. I'm not trying to kill her, just reclaim what's mine. Her expression hardened, though if she fails these tests, she might wish I'd been merciful enough to make it quick. Name the first test, Darius said. Patricia produced a small vial from her pocket. Inside, a thick silver liquid swirled. Truth serum, made from wolfsbane, silver, and a few other ingredients that will be extremely painful for a shifter to ingest. She held it out. First test. Elena must drink this and answer 3 questions truthfully. Any lie, any evasion, and she fails. Elena stared at the vial. Wolfsbane was poison to shifters. Silver was agony, combined in a serum meant to force truth. It would be like drinking liquid fire. The questions? Elena asked. You'll find out after you drink. Patricia's smile was vicious. Or you can refuse, admit you're not strong enough, and come home willingly. Elena looked at Cade. His face was pale, his jaw clenched so hard she could see muscle jumping. Through the bond, she felt his anguish, but she also felt his certainty. She could do this. Give it to me, Elena said. Patricia handed over the vial. Elena uncorked it, and the smell alone made her wolf recoil in horror. She brought it to her lips. Cade's hand covered hers. Elena, you don't have to. Yes, I do. She squeezed his hand. Trust me. Then she drank. The pain was instantaneous and absolute. Fire poured down her throat, into her stomach, spreading through every vein. Silver burned through her blood. Wolfsbane attacked her wolf, trying to smother it, kill it. Elena collapsed to her knees, convulsing, as her body tried to reject the poison. But she'd been in pain before, had spent 6 weeks learning to push past agony, had survived 23 years of having her life stolen. This was just one more trial. Elena forced herself upright, swaying but standing. Blood dripped from her nose, her eyes, but she was still conscious, still fighting. Impressive, Patricia admitted. Most shifters would be comatose by now. Let's see if your strength extends to honesty. She stepped closer. First question, do you hate me? The truth serum compelled answer. Elena felt words being ripped from her throat. Yes. I hate you for what you stole. For making me feel worthless. For using me like a battery for 23 years. The words were raw, honest, painful. I hate you for making me believe your love was real when it was just exploitation. Patricia's expression flickered something that might have been guilt, quickly suppressed. Second question, if you had the power, would you kill me? Elena's wolf snarled, demanding she say yes, demanding justice, vengeance, blood. But the human part of her, the part that still remembered being raised in Patricia's home, still remembered moments of almost kindness, wrestled with the answer. No, Elena gasped out. The truth serum confirmed it. I wouldn't kill you. Because that would make me like you. And I refuse to let you turn me into someone who takes lives out of spite. Patricia actually looked surprised. Final question, she said quietly, and be careful, because this one will determine everything. Elena Moonshadow, if you had to choose between saving yourself and saving this pack, including your precious Cade, which would you choose? The clearing went silent. This was the trap. The impossible question. If Elena said she'd save herself, she proved she was too selfish to lead. If she said she'd save the pack, Patricia could argue that Elena was suicidal, not fit to make her own decisions. But the truth serum didn't allow evasion. Elena met Patricia's eyes and felt the answer pull itself from her very soul. I'd save them. Every time. Because that's what leadership means. That's what love means. Putting others before yourself. So you admit you're self-destructive, Patricia said quickly. That you can't be trusted to make rational decisions about your own welfare. That's not what I said. Elena's voice was stronger now, even through the pain. I said I'd choose them, not that I'd die uselessly. There's a difference between self-sacrifice and self-destruction. A good leader knows when to fight and when to retreat. When to protect others and when to let them protect you. I'd save them and then I'd survive. Because they'd need me after. The truth serum pulsed through her, confirming every word. Patricia stared at her, something like recognition dawning in her eyes. You've changed, she said softly. The Elena I raised would have never. She stopped herself. First test complete. You passed. Elena nearly collapsed with relief, but Cade caught her. 2 more, he murmured. You can do this. Second test, Patricia announced. She gestured, and 2 of the enforcers brought forward a cage. Inside was Vanessa. Elena's heart stopped. Vanessa looked terrible pale, shaking, her eyes wide with terror. She wasn't restrained, wasn't being hurt, but she was clearly frightened. Choose, Patricia said simply. Your freedom or hers. If you return with me, submit to binding, I'll release Vanessa. She'll never have to worry about losing the power I've fed her. Never have to face what she's become because of my choices. Patricia's voice dropped. But if you choose yourself, choose this pack and your destiny, then Vanessa stays with me, becomes what I made her, my creature, my tool, no will of her own, just like you were. Mom, please. Vanessa whimpered. Don't do this. Quiet, Patricia snapped. Elena, your choice. Elena stared at her sister. They'd never been close. Vanessa had been cruel, entitled, had taken everything from Elena without a second thought. Elena had every reason to leave her to her fate, but Vanessa was also a victim. A pawn in Patricia's games, just like Elena. This isn't a fair choice, Cade said tightly, using another person as leverage. The test is about wisdom, Darius interjected. About making choices when there is no good option. This is fair under the rules. Elena's mind raced. What was the wise choice here? Save herself, pursue her destiny, but condemn Vanessa to the same hell Elena had escaped? Or sacrifice everything to free someone who'd never shown her kindness? Then it hit her. I choose neither, Elena said. Patricia blinked. That's not an option. Yes, it is, because you've made a false dichotomy. Elena took a shaky step forward, her body still screaming from the truth serum. You're offering Vanessa's freedom in exchange for mine. But Vanessa's freedom isn't yours to offer. She's an adult. She has the right to make her own choices. Choices she's never been allowed to make because you've been controlling her since birth. Elena looked at Vanessa. You want to know why you're so talented? So lucky? So perfect? It's because Mom's been feeding you my magic for 23 years. Every spell she drained from me went into you, making you into something unnatural, something unsustainable. Vanessa's face crumpled. No, that's not. It is. Elena's voice was gentle now, and when she runs out of me to drain, she'll find someone else. Another shifter child, another victim. You'll never be free because she needs you dependent, needs you under her control. Enough, Patricia snarled. No. Elena turned back to Patricia. Here's my answer. I'm not trading my freedom for Vanessa's. Instead, I'm offering Vanessa what you never gave either of us, a real choice. Vanessa, you can stay with Patricia. Let her keep feeding you power, keep being her perfect daughter. Or you can leave. Come with me. We'll find a way to give you real magic, earned magic, not stolen. It'll be harder. You won't be special anymore, but you'll be free. Patricia's face went white with rage. That's not. The test is about wisdom, Elena said, echoing Darius's words. And wisdom says you don't solve one person's imprisonment by creating another. You break the cycle. She looked at Vanessa. What do you choose? For a long moment, Vanessa just stared. Then, slowly, she looked at Patricia. You used me, Vanessa whispered. I thought you loved me, loved us. But we were just tools. I did what I had to do, Patricia said coldly. For our family, for your future. No. Vanessa's voice was stronger now. You did what you wanted, and I'm done being part of it. She looked at Elena. I don't expect forgiveness. Don't expect us to be sisters. But I choose freedom. The cage door unlocked. No one had touched it, but magic rippled through the air. and Vanessa stumbled out. Darius was staring at Elena with something like awe. Second test. Passed. You found a solution that preserved both parties' autonomy. That is, unprecedented. 1. Patricia's face was a mask of fury. Third test then. And this one, there's no clever answer. She pulled out a dagger silver, ancient, covered in runes. Combat. You and me. First blood wins. If I win, you submit. If you win. She smiled without humor. I release all claims and face the witch council for my crimes. Elena's body was still weak from the truth serum. Her wolf was barely functional from the wolfsbane. Patricia, meanwhile, was at full power, juiced up on stolen magic. It was a death sentence. I accept, Elena said. Because wisdom wasn't always about finding the perfect solution. Sometimes, it was about knowing when to risk everything. Chapter 10. The Daughter of the First Wolf. The clearing transformed into an arena. Enforcers formed a circle, their expressions neutral, but their eyes watchful. Blackthorn pack pressed against the territory line, unable to cross without breaking the rules of the trial. Elena could feel their desperation through the pack bonds, Cade's especially, a howling ache that matched her own. Patricia stood across from her, the silver dagger gleaming in the moonlight. She looked confident, powerful. 23 years of stolen magic radiated from her like heat. Elena could barely stand. This isn't wisdom, Cade said desperately to Darius. This is murder. Elena's been poisoned, weakened. The test was accepted, Darius replied, though his voice was tight. Once begun, trial by ordeal cannot be stopped, only completed. Then let me fight in her place. You can't. Darius met Cade's eyes, and something passed between them. Understanding. Regret. I'm sorry. Truly. Patricia smiled. Don't worry, Cade. I won't kill her. Just take back what's mine. She raised the dagger. Ready, Elena? Elena forced herself upright. Her wolf was whimpering inside, poisoned and weak. Her body felt like it was made of wet paper. But her mind was clear. Wisdom isn't always about strength, the seer had said. Sometimes it's about knowing when to surrender the battle to win the war. I'm ready, Elena said. They began. Patricia moved with supernatural speed, closing the distance in a heartbeat. The dagger flashed toward Elena's throat. A killing blow disguised as a warning. Elena twisted, barely avoiding it, and Patricia's surprised expression told her everything. The witch had expected Elena to be too slow, too weak to dodge, but Elena had spent 6 weeks learning to fight while exhausted, hurt, desperate. This was just another training session, just another test. Patricia attacked again, magic crackling around her free hand. Elena felt the spell form a binding, meant to hold her in place for the dagger strike. She dove sideways, rolling through dirt and pain. Coming up with a handful of earth, she threw it at Patricia's face. The witch recoiled, sputtering, and Elena pressed her advantage. Not with strength, she had none left, but with strategy. She drove Patricia backward, toward the edge of the circle, where the ground was uneven and covered in roots. Patricia stumbled. Just slightly. Just enough. Elena struck, her fist connecting with Patricia's wrist. The dagger flew loose, skittering across the ground. Both women lunged for it. Patricia got there first. Her fingers closed around the hilt, and she spun, slashing upward in a vicious arc that would open Elena from hip to shoulder. Elena didn't dodge. She stepped into the strike. The dagger pierced her side, hot and agonizing, sliding between ribs. Patricia's eyes widened in shock. She'd meant to miss to come close enough to force surrender, but not actually kill. But Elena had moved into the blade deliberately. What? Patricia started. Elena grabbed Patricia's wrist, holding the dagger in place inside her own body. Then, with her other hand, she struck. Not a punch. A touch. Palm flat against Patricia's chest, right over her heart, and she pushed. Not with muscle, with magic. The pendant around Elena's neck blazed white-hot. The seal her mother had created. The power that had been locked away for 23 years, it erupted. Not destructive. Not violent. Just, pure. Ancient magic. older than witch spells or shifter bonds. The magic of the first wolf, who had walked with gods, it poured into Patricia. The witch screamed, as 23 years of stolen power was ripped from her body. Every drop of Elena's magic, every whisper of strength she'd taken, every piece of life she'd drained, it all came flooding back to its rightful owner. Vanessa collapsed as the magic sustaining her vanished. Pack members rushed to catch her. Patricia fell to her knees, suddenly human, suddenly mortal, suddenly nothing more than a woman who'd made terrible choices. First blood, Darius said quietly, looking at Elena's wound. Patricia Rivera drew first blood. Elena Moonshadow wins. Elena pulled the dagger from her side with a gasp. Her wolf surged forward, newly strengthened by reclaimed magic, and the wound began to close. Not fast silver was still silver, but faster than human, faster than possible. She walked over to where Patricia knelt and extended her hand. Patricia stared at it like it might be a trap. "Get up," Elena said. "Not cruel, not kind, just tired. You wanted to own me, control me. But I was never yours, Patricia. Not then, not now, not ever. You should kill me," Patricia whispered. "After everything I did." "I should," Elena agreed. "But wisdom isn't about revenge, it's about justice. And justice says you face the witch council, answer for your crimes, and live with what you've done." She pulled Patricia to her feet. "You don't get the mercy of death. You get to live knowing you destroyed 2 daughters, trying to build a dynasty." Patricia's face crumpled, but Elena had no more sympathy to give. She turned to Darius. "The trial is complete. All 3 tests passed. Patricia's claim is void. Witnessed and confirmed," Darius said. He looked at Elena with something that might have been approval. "You are officially recognized as autonomous, Elena Moonshadow. No custody claim can be made against you." He paused. "And you've demonstrated wisdom worthy of first blood. The second trial is complete." The pack erupted in cheers. Elena swayed, exhaustion and blood loss catching up with her. But before she could fall, Cade was there, sweeping her into his arms. "You brilliant, terrifying, impossible woman," he murmured against her hair. "Don't ever do that again." "No promises," Elena managed. Darius stepped forward, his expression grave. "A word, Blackthorn." Cade set Elena down gently, but stayed close. What happened here tonight, it will reach the king within hours." Darius glanced at his fellow enforcers, then back to Elena. "He'll know you passed 2 trials. He'll know you reclaimed your magic, and he'll know that time is no longer on his side." His voice dropped lower. "He'll come for you himself. Not in a week. Not in a month. Soon." "How soon?" Elena asked. "Days, maybe. He can't afford to wait for you to complete the 3rd trial." Darius looked at Elena, and his expression was complicated. "Your mother was my friend. I was there the night Silver Moon fell, and I've regretted my failure to protect her ever since. I can't openly defy the king. But I can give you this. He's not invincible. His power comes from fear, from isolation, from keeping the packs divided. Unite them, and he falls." "How do we unite them?" Cade asked. "The 3rd trial," Darius said. "The test of heart. Complete it, and the old laws say you can challenge for alpha. Every pack will have to choose, support the king or support you. Some will choose wrong. But many," he smiled slightly, "many have been waiting for someone brave enough to stand." "What is the 3rd trial?" Elena asked. "That, I cannot tell you. It's different for everyone, a test that reaches into your very soul." Darius nodded to his enforcers. "We're leaving, and when we report to the king, we'll be as slow and thorough as possible. Buy you some time." He met Elena's eyes. "Don't waste it." Then they were gone, melting into the forest like shadows. The moment they vanished, the pack surged forward. Elena was engulfed in embraces, congratulations, overwhelming relief. Vanessa stood at the edge of the crowd, uncertain, and Elena caught her eye. "You can stay," Elena said. "If you want. We'll figure out the rest later." Vanessa nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you." Hours later, after wounds were tended and celebrations had wound down, Elena found herself alone with Cade on the main house porch. The sun was rising, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. 2 trials down, Cade said quietly. 1 to go. And then I challenge the Alpha King and probably die, Elena added. Hey. Cade turned her to face him. No defeatist talk. You've survived everything that's been thrown at you. You'll survive this too. Will I? Elena leaned into his warmth. Cade, I've been thinking. About the 3rd trial. About what Darius said. A test of heart. Of sacrifice. What about it? What if? Elena took a breath. What if the test is choosing between the bond and the challenge? Between you and my destiny? Cade went very still. The prophecy says I'm supposed to unite the packs, challenge the king, restore balance. But it doesn't say anything about mates, about love, about… Elena's voice cracked. What if completing my destiny means giving you up? Then we'll figure it out, Cade said fiercely. Elena, I told you I'm not the kind of mate who demands you sacrifice everything for me. If the choice is between me and your purpose, choose your purpose. I'll still be here when you're done. You say that now. I'll say it forever. Cade cupped her face in his hands. The mate bond isn't about possession, it's about partnership. I don't want you to give up who you are for me. I want to help you become who you're meant to be, even if that means standing aside sometimes. I don't want to lose you, Elena whispered. You won't. Bond or no bond, destiny or no destiny, I'm yours, always. He kissed her forehead. Now stop catastrophizing and come to bed. You need rest before the king arrives. They went inside together, and Elena allowed herself to be led upstairs. But as she drifted off to sleep in Cade's arms, she couldn't shake the feeling that the real test was still ahead, that the hardest choice was yet to come. The 3rd trial came 3 days later. Elena was in the training grounds, working through sword forms with Ash, when she felt it, a pull, deep in her chest, insistent and impossible to ignore. Her wolf stirred, recognizing something fundamental. Elena? Ash lowered his weapon, concerned. What's wrong? The trial, Elena breathed. It's calling me. Within minutes, the entire pack had assembled. Elena stood in the center of the clearing, feeling the pull grow stronger. It was leading her somewhere deep into the territory, toward a place she'd never been. I have to go, she said. Alone? Absolutely not, Cade said immediately. The king could have sent assassins. No. Elena met his eyes, certain. This is my trial. Mine to face. Please, Cade. Trust me. She could see the war in his expression. The need to protect her versus the need to let her be who she was. Finally, slowly, he nodded. Come back to me, he said, always. Elena followed the pull into the forest. She walked for what felt like hours, though the sun barely moved. The trees grew older, thicker, until she was in a grove that felt separate from the rest of the world. In the center was a pool of water, mirror still and impossibly deep, and reflected in its surface was not Elena, but her mother. Hello, daughter, Liana's voice echoed. Not from the pool, but from everywhere and nowhere. You've come far, become more than I ever imagined. I'm so proud of you. Mom? Elena's voice broke. How is this? The trial of heart requires confronting the deepest part of yourself. Your fears, your hopes, your truest desires. Liana's reflection smiled. Look into the pool, Elena. See what awaits. Elena approached the pool and looked down. 3 visions appeared, playing out simultaneously. In the first, Elena saw herself accepting the mate bond fully, marking Cade, being marked in return, becoming his in every way. She saw a future of love, of family, of peaceful days in Blackthorn territory. Happiness, safety, a life well lived. In the second, Elena saw herself challenging the Alpha King. She won barely, bloodied and broken but victorious. She saw herself leading, uniting the packs, ushering in an era of freedom and justice, purpose, destiny fulfilled. But alone, unmated. The bond with Cade severed because she'd had to sacrifice it to gain the power necessary to win. In the third vision, Elena saw herself dying. Killed by the king, her challenge failed. but her death sparking revolution. Other wolves rising up, inspired by her sacrifice, eventually toppling the tyrant. Her purpose achieved, but at the cost of her life. Cade lived on, forever grieving, forever alone. 3 paths, Liana said softly. Love, destiny, sacrifice. Choose wisely, daughter. Because this choice cannot be undone. Elena stared at the visions, her heart tearing in 3 directions. Love meant abandoning her purpose, letting others fight the battles she should fight. But it also meant life, joy, partnership. Destiny meant accomplishing what she was born to do, freeing her people, honoring her mother's sacrifice. But it meant losing Cade, losing the mate bond, losing the chance at personal happiness. Sacrifice meant both achieving her purpose and keeping the bond, but at the cost of her own life. A noble death, but still death. What was the right choice? What did wisdom demand? Elena closed her eyes, thinking back over everything she'd learned. The trials weren't just about testing strength or cleverness. They were about understanding what kind of leader she wanted to be. And she realized the question itself was the trap. No, Elena said aloud. I reject all 3 paths. The visions flickered. These aren't my only options, Elena continued, opening her eyes. They're false choices, just like Patricia's tests. Love versus destiny, personal versus greater good, life versus death. She looked at her mother's reflection. But leadership isn't about choosing between impossible options. It's about creating new ones. About refusing to accept that sacrifice is the only path to change. Explain, Liana said, and Elena could hear approval in her voice. You died to save me, Mom, and I'm grateful. But maybe that's not the lesson you meant to teach. Elena stepped closer to the pool. Maybe the lesson is that I don't have to die to make a difference. That I can challenge the king and win without sacrificing the bond. That I can have love and purpose, personal happiness and greater good. Her voice strengthened. I don't have to be alone to be powerful. I don't have to give up everything to achieve anything. I just have to be smart, strategic, and willing to fight for both. The pool's surface began to glow. You understand, Liana whispered. The trial of heart isn't about sacrifice. It's about refusing to let anyone, even destiny, tell you that you can't have it all. It's about fighting for the future you want, not accepting the future others demand. The visions dissolved, replaced by a new one. Elena, standing beside Cade, both of them victorious. The Alpha King defeated, not through sacrifice, but through unity, through the combined strength of packs who'd chosen freedom, through love and purpose working together. Not in opposition. It wasn't guaranteed. It might still fail, but it was possible, and possibility was all Elena needed. 3rd trial complete, Liana's voice said, filled with pride. You've proven your heart, Elena Moonshadow. You're ready. The pool vanished. The grove faded. And Elena found herself back in Blackthorn territory. The sun in the exact same position it had been when she left. Cade was still standing where she'd left him, expression anxious. The moment he saw her, he rushed forward. Elena? Are you? I passed, Elena said. She pulled him close, kissing him deeply. All 3 trials. I'm officially recognized as first blood, which means I can challenge the king. And? Cade asked carefully. What did the trial show you? What did it demand? Elena smiled. It demanded that I stop letting anyone tell me what I can or can't have, including destiny. She took his hands. I want both, Cade. I want to defeat the king and keep you. Want to unite the packs and build a life. It's going to be harder than choosing one or the other. Maybe impossible. But I'm going to try anyway. Cade's face broke into a fierce grin. That's my mate. The Alpha King arrived at dawn the next day. He came alone, which should have been reassuring but was somehow more terrifying. Silas Blackwood was massive, easily 7 feet tall, with silver hair, black eyes, and an aura of power that made the air feel thick. He radiated dominance, ancient and absolute. The entire pack assembled to meet him. Elena stood at the front, Cade beside her, feeling smaller than she ever had. But she didn't let fear show. Elena Moonshadow, Silas said, his voice like grinding stone. I've heard interesting things about you. completed 3 trials in a matter of weeks, reclaimed stolen magic, defied my enforcers. He smiled, and it was predatory. Impressive. Alpha King, Elena said, keeping her voice steady. I invoke my right to challenge. Ancient law says any shifter of the first blood who completes the trials can challenge for Alpha. I challenge you, Silas Blackwood, for leadership of all shifter packs, for the right to end your reign. Silence fell like a hammer. Then Silas laughed. You're serious. A child who's been a wolf for barely 2 months thinks she can challenge me. A king who's ruled for 3 centuries. His laughter cut off abruptly. I could crush you like an insect. Probably, Elena admitted. But you'd have to accept the challenge first. In front of witnesses, which means every pack will know you were challenged. And if you refuse, if you kill me without accepting, you break the ancient laws. You prove you're a tyrant, not a king. Silas's expression darkened. Clever, very clever. Your mother would be proud. He stepped closer, looming over her. Fine, I accept your challenge. 3 months from now, at the next full moon, we fight. Combat to the death. Winner takes all. One condition, Elena said quickly. The challenge is fought under pack law, which means if I win, your supporters don't get to retaliate. And if you win, my pack goes free. Agreed, Silas said. Though you won't win, girl. I've killed a dozen First Bloods. You'll just be another corpse. He turned to leave, then paused. 3 months, use them wisely. Because they're the last 3 months of your life. Then he was gone, vanishing into the forest with the same casual dominance he'd arrived with. The moment he left, Elena's legs gave out. Cade caught her, holding her as the reality crashed down. 3 months. She had 3 months to become strong enough to kill a king. It should have been terrifying. Impossible. Hopeless. But as Elena looked around at her pack, at Cade, at Ash and Liam, at Mara and Kara and Vanessa and all the others who'd become family, she felt something unexpected. Hope. All right, Elena said, standing straight again. We have 3 months. Let's not waste them. We train, we strategize, we reach out to other packs. We build alliances. We prepare for war. She met Cade's golden eyes. And when the time comes, we win. Together. Together, the pack echoed. Epilogue. 3 months later, the challenge grounds were packed. Every major pack in North America had sent representatives. Hundreds of shifters filled the clearing, watching, waiting. History was being made tonight, one way or another. Elena stood at one edge of the circle, her body lean and strong from 3 months of brutal training. She wore simple clothes they'd be destroyed in minutes, and her mother's pendant. Cade stood behind her, along with Ash, Liam, and the rest of Blackthorn pack. Whatever happens, Cade murmured, leaning close. I love you. Always. I love you too, Elena said. But save the goodbyes. I'm planning to win. Across the circle, Silas waited. Confident. Ancient. Seemingly unbeatable. The neutral arbiter, a elder wolf from a distant pack, stepped forward. The challenge has been issued and accepted. Combat to the death. Victor takes all. Shifter form. No interference. Begin when ready. Elena and Silas shifted simultaneously. Her silver wolf faced his massive black one. He was twice her size, scarred from centuries of battles, radiating power. But Elena had something he didn't. She had love. Had pack. Had a purpose beyond just holding power. And she had 3 months of preparing for exactly this moment. They clashed. The fight was brutal, vicious, and lasted for over an hour. Elena took damage that should have killed her. Silas showed why he'd ruled unchallenged for so long. But Elena kept getting up, kept fighting, kept using every trick, every strategy, every ounce of strength she had. And slowly, impossibly, she began to win. Not because she was stronger, but because she was smarter, faster, more motivated. Because she had everything to fight for. While Silas only had pride. The final blow came when Elena managed to get behind him, her jaws closing on his throat. He struggled, but she held firm. Held until he stopped moving. Until the light left his eyes. Until the Alpha King was dead. Elena released him and shifted back to human. standing over his corpse. Blood covered her, wounds gaped across her body, but she was alive, and she was victorious. "The challenge is complete," the arbiter announced, his voice shaking with disbelief. "Silas Blackwood is dead. Elena Moonshadow is victorious." The new Alpha Queen. The clearing erupted in chaos. Some wolves cheered, others looked horrified, still others waited to see what Elena would do next. Elena swayed but forced herself to remain standing. "I claim the throne," she said, her voice carrying across the grounds. Not to rule as Silas did, but to lead, to unite, to restore freedom and justice to all shifter packs. She looked at the assembled wolves. The age of tyranny is over. The age of democracy begins. Slowly, one by one, the wolves knelt. Even those who'd supported Silas, because she'd won, fair and square. And in winning, she'd earned the right to lead. Cade shifted and knelt beside her, his golden eyes glowing with pride. "My queen," he said softly. "My mate," Elena replied, pulling him up. "My equal. This isn't about me ruling alone. It's about us, all of us building something better." If this story touched your heart, if Elena's journey reminded you that strength comes from refusing to accept impossible choices, then subscribe and be part of a community that believes in fighting for the future you deserve. And what would you have done in Elena's position? Would you have challenged the king or found another way? The mate bond flared between them, complete and unbroken. Elena had her destiny and her love, had proven that sacrifice wasn't the only path to change. And as the new Alpha Queen of all North American shifters, surrounded by pack and mate and hope, Elena finally understood her mother's last gift. Not just survival, not just purpose, but the freedom to choose both, to have everything, to refuse impossible choices and forge her own path. The daughter of the first wolf hadn't just won a throne, she'd won herself. And that was the greatest victory of all.